So for any new viewers, I suggest you look at yesterday's video. I'm still figuring out how this is all gonna go. But we spent some time looking at the setting and system for Penumbra City, a World of Harrow game by game creator Inman Naruin. I apologize. I got a little nitpicky about some editing stuff, but nothing that has completely distracted me from what I'm seeing in the game. And overall, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. It's a D20 system, roll under. I had some questions about some things. There's a very interesting coalition and reputation building element to this. And you do get some in-game benefits for that work, so that's freaking excellent. Very impressed with that. We looked as we ended the game at our character progression. I had some doubts there, and I haven't opened this book again since yesterday. I have not cleared up any doubts about that. We'll see how if anything else in the book kind of makes me get over these, but I am a little concerned about the possibility, the fact that racing ability scores and racing proficiencies only happens A, when you level up, and B, which is fine, happening when you level up is normal. It's what you expect. But the thing is, you have to roll for them, and if you fail those rolls, you get nothing. Good day, sir. And that does not sit well with me. I'm gonna let the game do what it's gotta do and explain itself to me. But man, I'm real skeptical about that. So we'll see how we go. I think we understood the system itself. I'm just not sure I understand the reasoning behind certain parts of the system, but I guess we'll get to it, right? Let's see here. Let us actually now go to the actual classes, which is where we wanted to get to yesterday. Honestly, if you're a new player to a game, this is one of the first things you look at. You look at what can I do? What are the classes like? What can I play in this game? Because the setting is cool, right? And everybody's like, you know, you might have an amazing setting or you might have a really boring setting. Setting is important. I've always felt that a lot of people, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations of the tabletop RPG genre. At the same time, I'm trying to make videos about it, so I guess I kind of have to make some sweeping generalizations, won't I? It feels to me like most players want to know what they can play. They might be interested in the setting, but I think they're mostly gonna be okay, cool, this setting, London and this city and all these slums, factions, cool, but what can I play in those factions? Am I playing a monster? Am I playing a man? Am I playing a machine? So classes, right? Honestly, they're usually the first thing I look at when I'm looking at a new game, and who knows, maybe where we should have started yesterday, but I'm trying to take the book as it presents itself. So we got to the classes. Now let's see here. Okay, so this is the first intro. This applies to everyone, and then we're getting to the classes. We'll read out the quick description. We'll look a bit at their systems and their abilities and see what we think about each class. This title is literally called Tabletop RPG Deep Dive, so hey, let's spend some time. It takes all kinds of revolutionaries to make a revolution, just like it takes all kinds of guests to throw a good dinner party. Hell, in a dying city like ours, it takes all kinds of people to keep a pie shop from being raided by cops or taken over by monsters. Okay, it takes all kinds to keep your coalition safe from the monsters. The first class we have here is the Clacker. These were the ones that are mad hackers / mad bombers, a combination of them both. We've got a little history here to start with. For a little while, there was a bomb makers union. It predated the Ireni Federation even. Some of those folks were the first Ireni, supposedly the pyrotechnics techs from the Ireni theater. I'll be the first to tell you that anarchism is about mutual aid, and it's about being honorable to one another and taking care of each other, right? But blowing stuff up, that's always been part of it too, at least here in Penumbra City. So there were these bomb makers, and they were really into science and engineering. Then a few rogue difference engine operators showed up, started talking with the bomb makers, put their minds together. Now you've got the Clackers. So the Clackers are famous for two things: bombs and difference engines, steampunk computers. For a little while, they had this unofficial motto: fight smarter, not harder. But implying that everyone else has rocks in their head turned out to be not a good way to make friends at parties, so they dropped that. Still, they like to be prepared before they get into a fight. Prepared with information that they calculate in the sewers beneath the plaza. Prepared with explosives rigged to fuck up their enemies. Good folks to have on your side. They are basically the hackers. They're the ones running the machines, running the computers, but also they're dangerous. They're mad bombers. If you try and get into their systems, boom. I dig it. So starting HP 10, I guess we'll compare that to the other classes, see if that's normal, high, low. I have a feeling that's average. And you get 1 HP by resting. That's interesting. That's defined by class, how much you recover. Cool. Ability score priorities. Clackers' most commonly used ability score is knowledge, makes sense, which they use for their bombs and for other class abilities. Speed might be a good second priority, used for defense and some social interactions, while strength has some combat use and will has some social use. So you're going to focus mostly on knowledge. Cool. Weapon proficiencies, melee, firearms, and bombs, light armor, and you have proficiency with engineer's tools, difference engines, and bomb maker's tools. So these are proficiencies, right? So if you are attacking with, like if you're proficient with a thing, you would get bonuses. That was the rule we saw yesterday when somebody is proficient in things. Let's see real quick. Ability checks, right? Proficiency. Could also grant advantage dice to players who perform tasks in which they are particularly versed. So basically, this just means it'll give you, if you're doing a task that includes these things, you just auto-succeed if you have the time, or you might get bonuses. But these are, okay, this is the stuff that you're good at, the stuff that you know how to use. Simple enough. Languages known, so you speak Penumbran, which I'm guessing is the local language, and 2 other languages the player's choice in the languages section. They make a point of the language thing. I'm assuming that there is a system later on to work with the languages, considering how good they, how well they took care of my concerns with the social and coalition building faction. So I'm wondering what role these languages play. So I'm guessing we'll get to them later in the book. And then your starting equipment. So you basically start with all this stuff. You got a stolen access card to a fancy difference engine. Fancy is with the capital F, so that's an actual rank in the game. Access card to the Clacker network. Basic handgun, basic club with a large wrench, an engineer's kit, a bomb maker's kit, 6 basic bomb buddies, and 4 basic bomb buddies with an additional modification. See character. Okay, so we have bomb buddies. Hopefully we'll get those described shortly, but we get to modify them. So we start with like 10 bombs, 4 of them special. We are leaning in on the bombing. Cool. And a slip of paper with a prophetic statement that a difference engine gave you when you were a kid. Written in hole punched code, of course, legible only to those who are proficient with difference engines. Interesting. All right. And there's the art for the Clackers, which I absolutely love. I do love the art style. I wish we got more art in this book. But as you can see, there's very little. I mean, it's there, and when we see it, I'm very appreciative. I love the art style. I do wish we got more of it. Then again, even without that, it's still a nearly 300-page book. So yeah, you do what you got to do. But I do love the art. I do love the design, the sort of that like grimy feel, at the same time like literally lighting a bomb with a cigarette, and the satchel full of bombs. I totally dig this. See, starting reputation. So you're aligned with the revolutionists, you're opposed to the bulwark and the reasonable, and your home faction is the Ireni Federation. So you're tied to the main, so the Clackers are kind of tied to the main quote-unquote good guys, or at least the point of view guys in the world here. Let's see. Non-combat abilities. So first time I saw this, so I actually did take a quick peek before yesterday, and I did kind of look at the classes and stuff, and I was a little bit confused. At first I thought maybe you start with one of these and you pick up the other ones as you level up, but no. When you start as a brand new player, you start with all of these abilities and all these combat abilities, and then as you progress, character progression, this is like the stuff that you pick as you level up through the 5 levels that you can reach. So even at level 1, you're very capable. That's part of why, I guess that's part of why maybe it doesn't matter so much if you're able to roll well during advancement to get extra stats and skills, because you're capable from day 1. But let's go ahead and just kind of look at the abilities that your basic Clacker has. So Clackers have smart as hell. You gain advantage dice to any knowledge check to understand the mechanical workings of a device, to decipher patterns, or to understand ciphers. So again, specific situations defined in which you're going to get advantage dice on knowledge, and knowledge is probably going to be your best stat. So once again, you're really good at what you're supposed to be good at, and I appreciate that. Oh, the soup people. Once per day, if a Clacker makes their affiliation with the Areni known, anyone with whom they have a neutral reputation will treat them as though they had a reputation of 1 for an hour. That's nice. Since you're associated with the Areni Federation are generally considered by most people, except probably the Bulwark, to be fairly like good people, or at the very least not actively evil. They give out free soup in the plaza. Who's going to say no to free soup? So yeah, you are able to kind of piggyback that on that and have that sort of have that little bonus with people. Okay, cool. I like that they do have. They're not just the bombers and the hackers. There is. Even these characters have a social bonus. I wonder if that's a pattern. I think it's gonna be. I think we're gonna see a pattern of almost every class having something social. With the focus that this game has on community building and coalition building, I think it would only make sense, right? So, interesting. I like that. Let's see. Fast Talker, once per session per level. Okay, so this one powers up as you level up, gives you more times to use it per day. A Clacker can roll speed instead of will for any social interaction with an NPC by stringing together complex ideas so fast that the listener finds themselves just believing the Clacker. I love it. Technobabble, a Technobabble ability that instead of using, you start gish gallop, you start going out and talking until they go like, oh, okay, fine, sure. That you sounded very confident when you were saying it. You're a Clacker. I'm gonna assume you know what you're talking about on this technical thing. Just get out of my way and do the thing. Okay, dig it. Bomb maker is, I'm assuming, it's one of their main things. So a Clacker is a skilled bomb maker who can modify bombs with their bomb maker's kit. Modifying a bomb takes 10 minutes. Cool. A Clacker gains the following benefits. They gain a number of advantage dice equal to their level for all checks to set or disarm bombs. Holy shit, you are good at what you are good at. And this one again scales with your level. Dig it. A number of times equal to their level per combat, gains an advantage die on speed checks to defend from a bomb. Cool. And bomb buddies. Here's the explanation. A Clacker can modify bombs to use a key and mainspring instead of a lit fuse, and to give them mechanical legs to walk to their targets. These are wind-up bombs that walk and are timed to explode when a Clacker desires. It takes a Clacker 15 minutes to modify a bomb into a bomb buddy. A Clacker can use knowledge instead of strength to attack with bomb buddies. I fucking love that. You hide behind the wall, you turn on a little bomb buddy, a little bomb with little legs just starts clacking off, walks right up to somebody, goes, hello, boom. That's adorable. I love it. Well, you start with 10 of them. You start with 10 of them, all the bomb buddies, and 4 of them special bomb buddies. I cannot wait to see what special things we can give our little bomb buddies. I love them already. Do we have any? Yes. If you see down here, this little guy down here, I think that's a bomb buddy, right? I don't know if you can see that. I'm bringing it up to the camera there. There we go. Yeah, down here, that little guy, that is definitely a bomb buddy. It's got eyes, it's got legs. This one's got like a little rotor thing. I wonder if that's one of the expansions you can make them fly. That's gonna be curious. All right, cool. I dig it. Let's see. Tinker ability. So a Clacker can create simple mechanical devices quite easily with their use of the engineer's tools. This process takes anywhere from 15 minutes to several hours, depending on the complexity of the task. Players can get creative with the scope of this, but what is possible technologically is at the discretion of the GM. This might require a knowledge check to see how well the device works. Cool. But it's a little floaty, but it's hard to get a tinkering / crafting system to work well in a game. I would know. I've been trying to make one, even though it's based around magic, but it's still like a crafting system for my own game, and it is tricky to get right, because even in this, like, I love it, but at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, some things might take 15 minutes, some things might take an hour. It is one of those abilities, and like, I get it, just because of the nature of what you're doing, that's less useful in the moment, in a pinch, which not every ability has to be useful in a pinch. I get it. But here's the thing. I like that you've got these social things, and I like that you've got the bomb maker things, because so many like crafting style characters, the only thing they have going for them, the only thing that makes them special is their crafting ability. And if your crafting ability takes 15 minutes to multiple hours to use every time, in a pinch, you're gonna be kind of useless, right? And there's a place for characters like that, I guess, but it's always been kind of a problem for me, because especially in groups like, well, this character is not going to be having fun in the scene because the thing they can do can only happen off camera. This is slightly more realistic, right? It's less magical, so it makes sense. It makes sense that if you take like 15 minutes, 10 minutes to make a bomb, another 15 minutes to make it into a bomb buddy. Yeah, this is reasonable. And more complex stuff, like, I get it. It's fine. I'm not complaining about this one. I'm just sort of complaining about tinkerer classes in general. Overall, though, I like what they're doing here. And let's see, next one, the Clacker network. So the Clacker network is a fine, again, that's a quality, a fine difference engine that a clacker helps to maintain. A clacker with an access card and adequate reputation may consult the Clacker network as they wish. All right, so I'm hoping that later in the book we get more on the Clacker network and what it means to consult it, but it sounds a little Nosferatu. It literally is in the sewers. You go into the sewers, you consult this special network of clackers, of difference engines to get information. I'm just curious. I'm hoping later in the book they'll describe the kind of information that exists in the Clacker network for you to explore. So overall, though, liking. And those are all non-combat abilities, which again, I also like. A lot of games, the only difference between their character classes is the things they can do in combat, right? This starts with a substantial list of non-combat abilities, although, you know, Bomb Maker is kind of a combat ability, but it's not something you do in combat. You create, it lets you create things that you will use in combat later, right? And of course, bombs have all manner of uses in and outside of combat. So that's fine. So let's talk about the actual combat abilities specific to the Clacker. Let's see. Okay, combat abilities. Fight smarter, not harder. I thought we stopped using that thing. I guess not. So let's see. So once per combat per level, so levels up with you. When a clacker fails any non-knowledge check in combat, they may choose to roll again with knowledge instead. The player must describe why this is happening. For instance, they knew an opponent who leads with the left foot would aim high. Cool. All right, so it is limited, once per combat per level, but you can do it every combat, and as you level up you can do it more often, and I like that. You get to roll, you get to decide after, so you roll to hit, you're rolling strength or dexterity or whatever. You failed. If you still have this ability available for that combat, you can just use it and roll with knowledge, which is probably going to be your best stat. I dig it. I like that. Again, you're giving characters that are maybe not normally frontline combat fighters an ability to use their particular talents to at least to be effective, or at least get out of a tight spot in combat. Dope. Very much like it. It's sideways. It's supposed to be thumbs up. Like, there we go. Thumbs up. All right. Let's see. Strategic position. As a reaction, here we go, that's one of those mysterious reactions. If the clacker is close, that's a range, to an ally that is being attacked by an opponent who is also close, the clacker can grant their ally an advantage die on their defense roll as the clacker points out a strategic way to stand to avoid damage. So, literally, they're just good at going like, hey, duck, hey, lean to the left. And they'll give you, cool, support abilities. Dig it. You're supporting to the people that are near you in combat. I love it. And it's a reaction, so you still get to do your thing, probably throw a bomb. Good stuff. Speaking of bombs, Mad Bomber. As a reaction, here we go, another one. A clacker can attempt to disarm a bomb that lands close to them in combat before it explodes. To do so, they make a knowledge check. On a success, the bomb does not explode. On a failure, the bomb explodes in their hands. So this is risky, but it's also dope, right? Somebody's like, oh yeah, you're throwing bombs, I'm gonna throw bombs right back at you, and they do, and you just fucking pick it up, defuse it, and put it in your pocket. That's dope. I love the image of that, just how that would go. Let's see. Eye on the exit. A clacker knows how to get out of harm's way. Once per level, per session, again, grows with you, per session this time instead of per combat, a clacker may sacrifice their main action during combat to move to distant. Additionally, a clacker can roll with an advantage die when making knowledge checks to escape. So you're extra squirrely. Again, I like this. You're meant to be mobile. You're meant to be in the back throwing bombs. If you are there, you can at least buff your allies and help them so they can help you. And you are ready to squirrel out and get out of combat because you're not in armor. You're not a frontline fighter. You're meant to be in the back throwing bombs. I love it. A big fan of in-character abilities matching the vibe of the class. Not enough games do that. If I go, you go. Final combat ability. When a Clacker goes out of action, so every character class has a specific thing they can do, or they get to do rather, when you are taken out of action, when you kind of fall in combat. And the Clacker one is, if I go, you go. When a Clacker goes out of action, they may still use a bomb on their turn to attack opponents that are close. So even when you go down, you get to, you know, toss one last bomb at whoever made you go down. That's just the kind of petty that I am here for. So love it. So, and that's again, all this stuff first level. As soon as you start, you get access to all that stuff. That's really solid. Even as a first level character, you've got access to a bunch of good stuff, which again makes me worry less about the progression, right, and the leveling up. Not completely unworried. Again, I still don't like that I might roll and not get something. I should get the thing. Give me the things. But a strong start goes a long way, right? So character progression. Let's see. So you get 1 HP every time you level up. You do the leveling up, and you roll with advantage if you're trying to level up knowledge. Makes sense for a Clacker. The proficiencies are the standard stuff. So one thing about proficiency, you also have to learn to roll them. Yeah, okay, exactly. You have to roll them, and it has to be something that you did in the session, which again, I feel like you should be able to earn proficiencies. If you have to roll, you should be able to learn them separately from leveling. Leveling, I'm gonna keep saying, I'm gonna keep harping on this, aren't I? Leveling should just give you stuff. You've earned it at that point. If it's something that it's rolling, then it should be separate from the leveling system. That's just how I feel. And so this is a progression, stuff that you can get as you level up. So bomb making progression, you can further. So it's basically modifications to your bomb buddies, and you get to choose one of these to start with. You start with, right? It's let's go back here. I believe in the equipment. Right, you start with 6 basics and 4 basics with a modification. So the modifications here, let's see, we can start with. Okay, so yeah, there we go, flying. So first thing you can see is flying, and so bomb buddy can only take 1 modification at a time. Takes a Clacker 1 hour to modify 6 bombs. Cool. Yeah, leveling should be I survived this long and seen this much stuff, and now I am better in general. Right, then the maybe chance. Right, exactly. That's how I feel about it. So the first thing you can do, you can give it flying, which is kind of what we saw in that image down there. Look, I'm gonna zoom in again. There we go. See, look at little guy there, and then these guys with flying, the bomb buddies. I love it. So the first thing. No, we'll get to the girl shortly. We'll get to the Corsorian Knight shortly. So flying, cool, even flying, triggered. The bomb explodes in response to an auditory signal from the Clacker that must be determined before being destroyed. Clap on, clap off the bomb. Smoke. So you can create smoke bombs. In addition to causing damage, create smoke that makes it difficult for someone to see further than close. And here's the mechanics for that. Pretty straightforward. I like it. In fact, very effective. Yeah. Okay, I like that actually. Pretty powerful for smoke. I like. So far, each one of them has their nice things. Triggered definitely has its uses. Flying most definitely has its uses. Landmine. This bomb only explodes when it's stepped on. During calm, no check is required to set a landmine. During tension, a check is required to set one. During combat, the check is made with disadvantage die. Many people disapprove of the construction of landmines, and the Clacker risks upsetting a faction if they are discovered to use them regularly in that faction's territory. Good point. It's interesting. I like that they are addressing the sort of the danger, the worry with landmines there, and the fact that their use is not well received by most factions. I like that. I like that. You can give them acid. So when the bomb explodes, in addition to its normal damage, it coats all close targets that it hits with an acid that causes 1 damage per turn at the beginning of the target's turn until it is neutralized by water. Neutralizing the acid with water takes the main action. If someone is hit with an acid bomb multiple times before neutralizing the acid, the damage per turn does not stack. Good to know. I still like it. I still like it. Especially because it's an area effect that keeps going. And then targeted, the bomb explodes on impact and only does damage to the target if it hits. Cool. If you want to save bombs, if you are low on materials, you can make your bombs a little bit more targeted. Okay, cool. So those are I mean, it really does feel like leveling is not meant to be that big a deal. Like, you get a lot more access to a lot more things through coalition building, right? And being able to ask for favors and ask for specific things rather than just as an individual, which, you know, sounds like the kind of thing this game is going for. I actually do dig that. I still don't like you're rolling and you might not get something, but that's just me. Let me catch up. Oh wow, even revolutionaries are against landmines. Embrace the Geneva checklist. But I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is one of those things. Using landmines, just dick move universally considered to be a dick move. All right, so that is the Clacker. And we see, so basically they are able to grow mostly by adding new abilities to their bombs. I hope we'll get more on how the Clacker network specifically and difference engines specifically work later in the book, because it feels like that's probably a big part of being a Clacker, and there's not a lot that I'm seeing in the character class dealing with that, other than that they have the ability and the access to it to do it. So I guess we'll hopefully see that later in the book. But with that in mind, let us go to the next character class, the Corsorian Knights. And there's the art. Let's go ahead and kind of get that a little bit further closer up to the camera. There we go. Corsorian Knights. Very nice. The Corsorian Knight. Let's read from the book directly. The fiercest friend, the most intractable enemy, sometimes the most insufferable do-gooder. One of these folks gave me permission to print their central vow in the book, so here we go. I swear by the blood of my heart that I will uphold the honor of the Knights of the Corsorian Order in all my doings from now until my death. I will fight against power. I may fail to win, but I will not fail to fight. I will obey the tenets of my own making, and I will neither bow nor kneel to anyone who has ever drawn breath. By the majesty of the sky and earth, this I swear. They say they've been around for thousands of years, and I don't see any reason to disbelieve them. They developed as a response to other knightly orders, who are all hierarchy this and authority that. It's not an easy life, and not always a long one, but it is honorable. Plus, they're just absolutely terrifying fighters. You ever seen a woman with a 1,000-yard stare run at you with an axe? I mean, I haven't. Hope I never do. Alright, so Anarchist Knights. I love it. They are like, fight the power, row, fight the power. You swear an oath to yourself by the majesty of the sky and earth. You swear an oath to whatever in yourself you treasure and the world around you, and you hold tight to that. And that is where your power comes from. You don't bow to any man. You don't acknowledge any authority other than the authority of the vow that you choose to take. I freaking love that. Anarchist Knights. I have my nitpicks with some parts of the system, but goddamn, I love this setting. So let's see. They start with 14 HP. Yep, they are fighters, and they get 3 HP back every rest, so they recover real quickly. And of course, yeah, the most commonly used score is Strength. Will as a second priority, used for class abilities. Speed has some combat use. Knowledge has some general use. So you start with proficiencies in melee weapons, firearms, and crossbows. You are good with light and heavy armor, and you know about boats, right? Because the Corsorian Knights are smugglers, or are big on smuggling. I guess we'll see that in the abilities shortly. You start knowing Penumbran and a couple of other languages from the language section. Many Corsorian Knights know Sori, the language spoken in Sor, from where many Corsorian Knights emigrated. Makes sense. You start with chain and plate armor, a kite shield, a trident, a war axe or a longsword, a rifle or a crossbow, a written confession you once extracted from an enemy that sits uneasily with you and challenges your moral code, and a map with smuggling routes between Ath and Sor. Dig it. Okay, so you start aligned with the revolutionists, opposed to the bulwark and the reasonable. Cool, cool, cool. And your home faction is, of course, the Corsori, because you're a Corsorian Knight. Perfect. Let's see. I love the settings, but the mechanics give me pause. Every Shadowrun player ever. Yo, tell me about it. Hell, ask Dave about it someday. Although I think oddly enough, he likes this. There's something I like about Shadowrun, and it is being able to pick up a double handful of D6s and just roll them all. I get some of that from World of Darkness sometimes, just picking up a bunch of D10s, but it's not nearly as common. So let's take a look at the abilities of a knight, right? So you've got your non-combat abilities, and the first one, this is a big one, tenets. So these are the vows, right? These are the vows in your vow. So while all Corsorian Knights share the same central vow, they each take on tenets of their own choosing in addition to that vow. When creating a Corsorian Knight and when leveling up, they choose one tenet. So with every level up, you gain an extra tenet, or you choose an extra tenet rather. For each tenet they take on, including at level 1, a Corsorian Knight adds 1 to an ability score of their choosing up to a maximum of 18. So the more tenets you have, so here we go. So this is a character class that's going to get an attribute bump every level. And with attribute bumps normally taking a roll, this is very powerful in that ambience, right? So okay, that's giving this value. The fact that on every level you're going to gain a bump to an attribute, thanks to those tenets, thanks to your holding to your tenets. If they willingly break their tenets, they will suffer a crisis of faith and lose all of these bonus ability score points until they perform an elaborate and dangerous rite of penance that the Corsorian Knight, which must be approved by the rest of the order. Dangerous rite of penance that the Corsorian Knight. So again, editing. That's something's missing. You accidentally a word, but we get it. We get it. This is like they're paladins. They're like paladins. You break your vows. You break your tenets. You kind of lose access to your strength and your powers until you atone. Pretty straightforward. Pretty understandable there. When choosing a tenet at level 1, a Corsorian Knight must also choose something that they are irrationally fearful of. When encountering the object of their fear, they make all will checks with a disadvantage die. Some example tenets: never eat the flesh of an animal, never eat when those around you are hungry, never lie to anyone who is not an enemy, never conceal your tabard for the sake of hiding from enemies. So standard paladin stuff. It's when choosing, so it sounds to me, the way I'm reading this is that this whole, your kryptonite, so you do have a kryptonite, you have something that you are irrationally afraid of, but looks like that only happens at level 1. It doesn't say that you get that every time you choose a tenet, because that's cool, because otherwise every time you level you have to choose a new kryptonite. That would suck. So no, I like that it's just you have a kryptonite at level 1. Cool. Killjoys. I don't know how this is an ability, but let's see. If someone in the Corsorian Knight's vicinity talks about doing or does something that comes into conflict with one of the Knight's tenets, a Corsorian Knight will find it difficult to not talk about it or intervene in some way. So there's literally a mechanic in place for being the annoying paladin. I guess that makes sense because they specifically say that, you know, you might be the most insufferable do-gooder. But it's still odd that how that's put up as an ability and not, I guess, something else. So there really isn't a penalties section to a character, so I guess just adding it under abilities is the only place where it would go. Well, let's see. So when in such a situation, a Corsorian Knight must make a will check with an advantage die, so at least you get advantage. On a failure, the Corsorian Knight must involve themselves in whatever the situation is. How they do this is up to the player. You're rolling with advantage, you're rolling will, which is probably one of your better scores, so this is not going to take effect every time, but often enough that it's often enough that it's going to be a plot generator. This one's going to be tricky. This one's going to be tricky to play at the table. You got to get buy-in from the players, because in a tabletop RPG, the last thing you want to do is kill joy, right? You want. There's a reason people find that annoying about paladins. The fact that it's codified here is interesting. But at the same time, they're so tough that you still want one in your group, right? So, yeah, and it, again, doesn't necessarily say that bad things have to happen. It's just a plot generator, right? The GM doesn't have to turn it into a mess for the whole party every time, right? It can just be a quick scene, especially if the Corsorian Knight is particularly intimidating or something. That they might just break up the situation and people back down quickly and you move on. So really, it's up to the GM and the player. But I can smell some trouble here. But if it's handled well, then it's fine. Just you need to understand what you're getting into in that one. See, rule one of tabletop RPGs: everyone should be having fun for whatever form that takes. Exactly. If you're not having fun, then what are you doing here? If you're here for therapy, for example, don't. That's not. I'm not a therapist. Please don't. Please don't. All right, Smugglers by Right, with an R-I-T-E there instead of R-I-G-H-T. Let's see. Smugglers by Right. A Corsorian knows the secret ciphers of smugglers. Smuggler ciphers are made up of marks and covert symbols left out in the open to mark a route, location, or to convey information like boat in bushes ahead, patrols frequent. Additionally, a Corsorian Knight makes all checks to handle boats with an advantage die. So, okay, cool. So you're good at boats, and you know special smuggler ciphers. Cool. These two technically. Oh no, and this third one, this feared and revered one, probably. Yeah, these three honestly kind of feel social. I did say I like it that, so these are non-combat abilities, so there is like a social thing. So this connection to the smugglers, this thing that gets you meddling. And let's see, feared and revered. Once per day per level, okay, scales with you by making their affiliation known and making a successful will check during moments of calm or tension. A Corsorian Knight can either make someone who was planning on attacking, deceiving, or working against them change their mind, or convince someone that was reluctant to help them to give them aid. So yeah, basically like paladin aura of intimidation or goodness or whatever, once per day as you level up per level. Cool. Yeah, just kind of do the Silver Surfer stuff, and again, social stuff. I dig it. Let's see. That's right, kids. If you're looking for therapy or trying to use tabletop RPGs to work through something that you must tell your GM. You must tell your GM and fellow players of your intent for the sake of everyone's expectations. Yeah. I've probably been guilty of dealing with a few issues through roleplay without meaning to. It happens, but also, please don't. Please don't. I am not a therapist. I'm not going to fix you. I am not going to make you better. That's not who I am. And finally, Well of Mind, Well of Body for the non-combat abilities. Let's see. Once per day, a Corsorian Knight may, during a moment of calm, take 15 minutes to enter a trance. During this trance, they can make a number of will checks equal to their level. For each success, they can recover 3 lost ability score points. A Corsorian Knight cannot elevate an ability score over its maximum. Interesting. So, taking ability score damage is a thing in this game, right? Especially if you get taken out of action, and since everybody has relatively low hit points, like it's gonna happen. You're gonna go out of action, you're gonna take ability score damage. This is the first time we've seen an ability meant to recover that, specifically for these knights who are going to be frontline. Okay, I dig that. It's that encouragement that, hey, even if you take the hits, even if you go down, this is what you do, and you're gonna have a way to get that back. It's okay to put yourself out in front, because you are tough, you do not die. Like they said, like they just don't seem to die sometimes, and you can get back up and you can make yourself strong again. Okay, I dig that. I love it. All right, cool. Let's see, combat abilities. So now we're into combat. So we've got our tenants, now we've got our trance, and they specifically call out the trance, like, ever seen a woman with a 1,000-yard stare run at you with an axe? So let's read up on the trance. Whenever they are in combat, Corsorian Knights can, as a free action, enter a trance. So I would like to rage, except instead of rage, it's dead-eyed, 1,000-yard stare. While in a trance, they cannot maintain any conversations or process verbal information clearly beyond basic words like stop, kill, and run. While in a trance, Corsorian Knights gain the following abilities. So this is your rage ability. Yeah, exactly. Instead of a rage, it's Coat Rack. Deadly Coat Rack, exactly. Let's see. So you gain advantage on will checks. Very cool. Once per round, you gain advantage die in a defense roll. Excellent. You built-in defense. A number of times equal to the level per combat. Cool. So it scales. When a Corsorian Knight reduces a target to 0 HP, they can make an additional attack against another target that is close. I like those. I like those. Like, you keep going. You keep mowing them down. This is great when going up against mooks. It makes you feel really, really powerful. And they cannot go... Oh, this is the other thing where they just don't seem to die. They cannot go out of action from damage. When they reach 0 HP, so while you're raging, or while you're trancing... I'm sorry, I'm imagining like glow sticks for a trance, really. You cannot, when you reach 0 HP, you fall down. On your next turn, they can get back up and act as if they still had HP. Any additional damage they receive directly affects whatever their highest ability score was before they were reduced to 0 HP. If any ability score reaches 0, they die. Abilities that paralyze or stun a Corsorian Knight still affect them. Okay, cool. So that good thing you have this well of mind, well of body thing. So even if you go down, next round you get back up and you keep hitting. And if you take damage that goes to your abilities, but you can take time to heal those up. Cool. I dig it. And final ability for Trance. Every successive turn after the first turn in which they are at 0 HP, they must make a will check at the beginning of their turn. If they fail a check, they exit their trance and fall out of it. Okay, so it doesn't go on forever. You do have to kind of keep willing yourself to fight past your limits. Cool. I like this. Basic rage. Built in, you're a tough motherfucker. You have abilities to make yourself known and feared and revered by being a tough motherfucker. You have connections with the smugglers. You have a way to get around town with the boats, and built-in plot botherer, I guess. And then the final of the starting abilities for combat: Fight Me. As a reaction, if a close opponent moves away from a Corsorian Knight, the Corsorian Knight may make an attack against the opponent. So basically, attack of opportunity, kind of. Except they're the only ones that get it. Which, cool. That's a reaction. Yeah, cool. Basic. They get, since it's not a thing in this game. There is no attack of opportunity by default. Then the fact that they get that as an ability, valid. Done. And then as you level up as a Corsorian Knight, you add 3 HP every level. Not bad. Advantage on strength to gain, proficiencies, the usual stuff. And then nightly progression. So as a Corsorian Knight progresses in level, they learn new trance abilities. And create a Corsorian Knight, and when leveling up, okay, so you get to pick one of these also to start with, and then you pick extras as you level up. So let's see, quick healers. During calm, a Corsorian Knight can add their level to the amount of HP they can recover while resting. So one step down for regeneration. Again, these are your tanks. I mean, I thought we were going to get to the tanks. I thought we were going to get to the tanks with the ex-Marines, because they literally have power armor, or steam power armor. But these guys are very tanky. Let's see, it makes a useful thing unique. Nice touch. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see, soothsayers. So during calm, after a suspicious conversation with an NPC, this was a social one, a Corsorian Knight can enter a trance for 5 minutes. At the end of the trance, they make a will check. On a success, they know whether they were lied to in that conversation. Cool. So you send them in to do an interrogation, right? And they can use that feared and revered, maybe, ability to push forward, and then they step away and they kind of go into a trance for 5 minutes, and then you make a roll and you know for a fact whether you were lied to or not. Interesting. So that's one you can pick. Let's see, without fear. A Corsorian Knight is immune to being frightened during their trance. Cool. I wonder how common this is. How many monsters how common frightened is as a status, right? That depends how useful this is going to be. Let's see. Focused blow. Once per combat, while in a trance, a Corsorian Knight may make a single attack with a number of advantage die equal to their level. So this is your smite, basically, kind of. Once per combat. Cool. So you can keep doing that in multiple combats. Nice. And the higher level you go, the more powerful this is. Stagger. When a Corsorian Knight in a trance hits an opponent with a melee weapon or unarmed strike, they may make a strength check. On a success, their target is knocked down. Cool, cool. Baldur's Gate 3 stuff. Excellent. And Menace. Whenever a Corsorian Knight in a trance hits an opponent with a melee weapon or an unarmed strike, they may make a will check. On a success, their target flees to nearby in the next turn if they are able. On an excessive success, or if the target is unable to flee, the opponent is frightened. So they can cause frightened on others, potentially. But yeah, it's basically fun, because a lot of tank abilities are more about like making people attack you. This one is more like you are so menacing, you are coming at somebody. I like because that's tied into the fiction where they go like, oh, you know how menacing it is that they're running at you with an axe with a 1,000-yard stare, right? That's there's some mechanic for that, for freaking you out when that happens. I dig that. I like the Corsorian Knights. They're very focused. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like them, but I really dig them after looking through them. Anarchist Knights, cool, cool, cool. And now let's see, Dog Girl. Everyone in the Dog Girls is a Dog Girl, right? But not all of them are Dog Girls. I really wish they had a second word to use here, like a Dog Girl Lancer or something cool like that. I brought it up to my friend Piston and he just laughed at me. All Dog Girls fix and ride bikes. Some of them take it real seriously. Some of them are one with their bikes. They fight with lance and pistol and bomb, weaving in and out from their foes. They also seem to know everyone. Good folks, the Dog Girls. And there's the art right there for the Dog Girls. There you go. They are bikers, and they have lances, and they're the ones that basically joust through combat. So they're rangery, right? They're big on mobility, starting HP 12, HP recovered per rest 2. Their biggest score is speed. Knowledge is the best, second best, and strength and knowledge. They start with melee weapons, firearms, and bombs. So we've got another bomb user character. They have engineer's tools, thieves' tools, bomb maker's tools, and dog's wheels. Dog's wheels are the motors. That's what they call the motorcycles in this game, dog's wheels. And let's see, they know Penumbran, one other language. So you start with some brass knuckles, love it. 3 basic bombs, not bomb buddies, just bombs. A lance with a pennant of their own design near the tip. So I like that they make of that. These lances have pennants. Again, there's that knightly vibe to it. Your basic dog's wheel, a handgun, a thieves kit, biker's mail, so light armor, cool. An engineer's kit and a map to or of a rarely explored part of the city, such as the tomb or an abandoned manor. Just built-in plot stuff. Good, I dig it. Let's see. I know it's incorrect. My brain just hears dog grill. My brain either goes to FMA. Oh, oi, FMA. The dictionary down for such a thing. Yeah. Nope. Let's dog girl. Ooh, wow. So you're neutral with the reasonable, really opposed to the bulwark. Fuck those guys in particular, and of course aligned with the revolutionists. I like that the dog girls just take no shit from conservatives. So non-combat abilities. Let's see what they start with. So first is, I know them. Once per session, a dog girl can, upon meeting or hearing about a new NPC, announce that they are already familiar with that character. It is up to GM to determine whether the NPC has a positive or negative opinion of the dog girl. Okay, so boom, starting off with something social. They say that they know people everywhere, and here it is, built into an actual ability for the character to let them know people anywhere they go. Strangest of places. Once per day, a dog girl can make a knowledge check in any moderately crowded social situation. If they pass, they can announce that they have a contact there who is friendly. Again, same thing. This is the first one is we already met somebody and I want to say, oh, I know them. The second one is we haven't met anybody. Wait, I know somebody in this area. Let's see, back alley driver, successful knowledge check. A dog girl can anticipate and bypass routine patrols and roadblocks when moving through the city, rolling once per district. I love that. To get around the city quick, making them extra useful. Work fast, not safe. Once per session, per level, a dog girl can use speed instead of knowledge to make a check related to fixing, operating, dismantling, or building a device, which I'm sure pisses off the clackers to no end. And out of here. A dog girl has had their eye on the exit the whole time. A dog girl makes escape checks with an advantage die. They can also bring an out-of-action ally with them when they escape on a dog's wheel. Cool. They have a role in combat. They're very mobile. They can get out. They can take out people who are in trouble. Excellent. So speaking of combat, let's get to it. Combat abilities. Dog's Wheel Fighter. So this one's the big one. When riding a dog's wheel, a dog girl gains the following benefits. They can operate a dog's wheel in combat, moving and fighting without making an ability check to stay mounted. So you're just naturally good at this. They can move to distant on their turn. So yeah, they're on a dog's wheel, they're on a bike, they're going to be able to move a lot. They may also break up their move action with their main action, moving nearby, attacking, and then moving back to nearby. So again, they specifically said in combat, that's not something that normally you can do. You can't move somewhere. I mean, that's the thing. Normally a move, it's only to one area. You can't move two areas unless you spend an extra action to move. So this makes sense. This makes sense. I like it. You get to do something that normal people don't. Very cool. And then charge. This is brand new. It's in big bold. When attacking a target that is nearby with a polearm, a dog girl can use speed instead of strength for the attack roll. Targets human-sized or smaller hit with a charge are knocked down. If the target is larger than a human, the dog girl makes an additional speed check. On success, the target is knocked down. So yeah, charge. You just take the dog wheel. If you get a distance to actually do that, then yeah, you hit extra hard. Love it. They gain an advantage die on speed checks that are not for attacking or defending. This includes checks to dismount safely if their dog's wheel explodes. So you're just good at maneuvering and stuff during combat while you're on your dog's wheel. I love it. Let's see. Death's Friend. Once per session per level, scales with you, a dog girl can re-roll a failed check that would have caused them to be out of action. So once you're close to the edge, you're one step closer to the edge, and you're about to fall, as you go up in level, you get particularly good at avoiding death. I dig it. I dig it. It's built in. Speed counts. When not mounted on a dog's wheel, a dog girl may reload one firearm per turn as a free action. So when you're not mounted, you're still just spraying bullets until you get to your mount. Dog Girl's Best Friend. As a reaction to being attacked, a dog girl can, with a successful speed check, maneuver their dog's wheel in front of themselves so it takes damage from their attack instead of them. For attacks that affect the whole area, like a bomb exploding, this ability reduces the damage from the attack by only half, rounded down. The remainder is taken by the dog's wheel. Cool. Yeah, that's a basic move. You're gonna put, like it's in the movies. You're gonna use this device, this motorcycle. Look at this thing. It's got more armor than you do. So yeah, let it take the hit. You can always fix it later. And finally, last ditch. So you do everything you can to stay out of action by using Death's Friend, but you're out of those. So when a dog girl goes out of action, finally, this is your out of action action. When a dog girl goes out of action while mounted on a dog's wheel, they must make a speed check. On a success, they can use their move action on their next turn but take no other actions. When they are done moving, they lay the dog's wheel down safely and are incapacitated. All right, cool. So you get a chance to at least get out of immediate danger, right out of the immediate danger on your bike when you're finally taken down in a combat. Cool. Basic. I love it. See, so as you go up, you add 2 HP to your max. You're focused on speed, blah, 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 proficiencies. All right, so what do you get as you level up as a dog girl? You get better at riding, clearly. And there's more art. Again, appreciate the art when we get it. I wish there was more. These are I think the same ones that we had at the beginning. Now they're actually riding along. All right, so let's see. Reckless. Once per session as a free action, a dog girl can crash their dog's wheel into up to 4 targets in their path who are close to one another. To do so, a dog girl makes a single speed check. On a success, all targets take 1d20 damage. On a failed speed check, the dog's wheel takes 1d4 damage. I like that. I like that. That's a good move. These are very fitting with the vibe of like you fight with your dog's wheel, with your bike. Scout. Once per day, a dog girl may take 15 minutes to scout an unknown area, revealing a basic knowledge and layout of the layout and inhabitants. As part of this ability, the dog girl makes a knowledge check and a speed check. Successful knowledge check, the dog girl reveals a hidden piece of knowledge about the area. On a successful speed check, the dog girl is unobserved while scouting. On a failed speed check, the dog girl is observed. Interesting. Okay, so basic info gathering system. B&E expert, breaking and entering. Once per day, a dog girl may take 30 minutes to scout out a building. As part of this, the dog girl makes a knowledge check. On a success, the dog girl knows any entrances and exits of the building that are not expertly disguised and any fortifications in place. Again, they are scouts. I love it. They are built-in abilities for that. Swift hands. A number of times equal to the dog girl's level per combat, they may perform a task that would normally take a main action as a free action. Cool. So you're speedy, you're fast, you're a scout, you're on your bike, okay? And then finally, stunt driver. First time we're seeing this. This one actually has a requirement. You have to be level 3 to actually get this ability. A number of times equal to the dog girl's level per day, so you start being able to do this 3 times per day the first time you pick this. You may perform an absurd and daring feat on their dog's wheel, like jumping over a carriage or 2. They get 3 advantage dice on a speed check to do so. Furthermore, every time a dog's wheel ridden by a character with this ability takes damage, it takes half damage rounded down. No wonder you need to be level 3 to get this one. That's cool. That's cool. You are one with your bike there. Nice. All right, so that's the dogs girls. No, dogs girl. Dog girls. Yeah, this is confusing. But anyway, there they are. Cool. I love it. I would play one. They get to be scouts. They get to be reckless. They get to just be fast and do badass things with their bikes. I love it. I appreciate it. Yes. Dog girls. Dog girls. Dog girls are great. You can hit people with your bike. You can have your bike take hits for you. You can scout around and get information about places and how to break into them. You get to just be fast and be awesome. That's Dog Girls in a nutshell. I dig it. And now we go on to the ex-Marines. So these are the ones that I thought were going to be the tanks, but then the Corsorian Knights came along and just got real tanky on me. So let's see what the ex-Marines have got to offer. First of all, as always, appreciate that art. Look at it right there. Ain't that beautiful? I've got a joke for you. What's the best way to tell an ex-Marine she shouldn't walk around in her exoskeleton because it pretty much puts a crosshair on her back? From really far away. My editor says that my joke wasn't funny. She's probably right. The ex-Marines have a price on their head and they know it, but they've also got some serious firepower, so not a lot of folks are foolish enough to try to collect. Get an ex-Marine on your side and you've got someone willing to fight from the front, tearing up your enemies while almost invulnerable in that suit. So this is almost literally a tank. You are literally a walking tank. You are in a tank armor. Again, look at that gorgeous armor. I'm a big fan from the Rifts days of the Glitter Boys. So let's see if these live up to the glory of what was once the Glitter Boys. So starting HP 14, issue record rest 3, so big, big numbers there. The Discord priorities, strength is the most obvious, knowledge a second one, and then speed and knowledge. So you don't really need a lot of will, even for they mentioned knowledge twice. Interesting. I guess none of your abilities require will for this one. Let's see. Space Marine sounds gene mutation so far. Let's see. Plus these are steampunk powered. So proficiencies: melee weapons, firearms, bolt throwers, and bombs. Light armor, heavy armor, shields, exoskeletons. Engineer tools, bomb maker's tools. You know Penumbran. You know one more language. So you start with a bolt thrower, a fireman's axe, 4 handguns, your exoskeleton, an engineer's kit, and a letter you're supposed to hand deliver for a fellow soldier who died a tragic and meaningless death at the front. Nice. Yeah, Steam Marines, exactly. Alright, so you start off, again, fuck the conservative faction, you start aligned, and your home faction is the Royal Veterans against everything. Rave, no, or RVAE, but I'm just gonna say it's Rave. Rave against the dying of the light. Alright, so what are your non-combat abilities as a ex-Marine? You start off with the ability of War Stories. During calm, an ex-Marine can regale people with war stories. They may attempt to either persuade a group to aid them, or intimidate a group to leave them alone. An ex-Marine makes the check to persuade or intimidate this group with knowledge instead of will. So that's why you don't have to necessarily focus on will, because your abilities are more about knowledge and strength in combat. Cool. If they are trying to persuade a group of people with whom they have negative reputation and the check is successful, those people will treat the ex-Marine as if they had a reputation of 0 for 1 hour, so they'll go neutral instead of being hostile. If they are trying to persuade a group of people with whom they have a neutral reputation, those people will treat them as if they had a reputation of 1 for 1 hour. It's cool. So basically, you went through the war, and you can kind of give those stories, and people will kind of have that respect, like, well, fuck, they see what you've been through, and they either know not to fuck with you, or they are grateful for what you've done, and they'll be a little bit better disposed towards you. So cool. Good that the combat monkeys still get a non-combat social ability. Tech-minded. An ex-Marine may make knowledge checks to know how mechanical devices work or to fix mechanical devices with an advantage die. I like that. That's something I think they share a little with the Clackers, but it's always good to have. So generally, I'm not a fan of like classes dick-stepping on other classes' abilities, but certain things, like just being a little bit better than average or being better than average at, for example, fixing machines, and that being something that more than one character class can do, I'm fine with that, because ex-Marines still can't make bomb buddies, and Clackers can't build exoskeletons. So it works out that both of them, though, are good at mechanics. So are dog girls. They need to be good at mechanics to work on their bikes. So this is good. I'm fine. And again, I like that for such a combat-focused, or at least at first impression, combat first or combat primary character has multiple things, right, that make them useful, generally outside of combat. So big fan of that. Let's see. More is more. An ex-Marine may repair any handgun, rifle, or bolt thrower, whether or not it is broken, by attaching additional barrels, overriding the steam pressure safety, or doing some other such modification. A weapon modified in this way provides an additional damage die, but upon any failed attack roll, it breaks irrecoverably. Modifying a weapon in this way takes 2 weapons, destroying one in the process, and requires 10 minutes. This requires a successful knowledge check with an engineer's kit and takes 1 hour. So now I see why you start with 4 handguns, so you can mix and match them. That's kind of dope, though, because so long as you keep hitting, you're doing like double damage. Just the moment you miss, that's it. It's fucked. But especially when you're going into combat, you know you're going up in a big fight. Yeah, take some time, take that hour before combat, and fucking mangle up a double duty pistol. And then go fuck some shit up, as long as your dice are on your side. I dig it. Let's see. And final ability for strength will do. Once per day per level, scales with you, excellent. An ex-Marine may decide that an otherwise failed strength check has in fact succeeded. Fuck you, GM. No, I made it. I made the roll. Starting at level 3, an ex-Marine may expend 3 uses of this ability at once to succeed at some show of strength that would not normally be possible at all, such as smashing through a stone wall, climbing a tower with one hand, or throwing a spear into a zeppelin hundreds of feet overhead. So they have that brute strength ability. They have that ability to just Hulk out. And it's starting at level 3 to truly Hulk out. Cool. I like that. Especially with the power armor, right? Combat abilities. Now let's see what they can do in a fight. And I'm actually surprised how small the combat abilities section is compared to some of the other ones. But I'm guessing it's also kind of, it's focused mostly on your exosuit. And I'm guessing, mechanical progression, less than I thought. But again, it's mostly additions to your exosuit, right? So let's see. So let's start with the exosuit. Combat abilities. Exo-conditioned. An ex-Marine gains the following benefits while wearing an exoskeleton. They gain 1 advantage die on strength checks during combat that are not for attacking or defending. So yeah, you're powered up. They can lift but not carry twice the weight of what they otherwise could. So feats of strength. Good for like rescuing, getting a chunk of building off of somebody. They can make unarmed strikes with their gauntlets. These unarmed strikes attack with strength and have the attributes of a fine club, which is cool because normal unarmed strikes are just 1 point of damage. They're not great, and I haven't seen any kind of monk or hand-to-hand unarmed combatant class yet. I mean, we might still see one, maybe the Fungalians, although I have a feeling they use like clubs. So at least somebody can kind of strike, quote unquote, barehanded, or at least with just the hands, the gloves of their power armor. Let's see. They cannot be knocked down except by something more than twice their size, and I'm guessing there's not a lot of things more than twice the size of somebody in exo armor. They may attack with strength instead of speed with any melee weapon. So cool. So that I'm assuming there are certain blades that are speed only, so you can just attack with strength. Focus on strength. Strength is your thing. Okay, other combat abilities. Let's see. Don't touch the suit. While wearing their exoskeleton, when an ex-marine is attacked by someone who is close, as a reaction, they can brace their armor and gain an advantage die on their defense roll. Cool. So when you get attacked, you in your exoskeleton, you can brace and you get extra defense. Makes sense. I like it. Mind for strategy. Once per combat, as a free action, an ex-marine can make a knowledge check. With a successful check, they glean a useful piece of information about their enemies. Cool. So in action, as a free action too, which is nice. I like that. I like that it doesn't force them to choose between attacking and investigating. Like, this is something you can do. You are strategically minded, and in fact, as you're fighting is when you would notice this about your enemies. So I like that. And then till their last breath. When an ex-marine is out of action, so here we go, we get to their out of action or ability. On their turn, they may release the pressure on their steam boiler, doing 1d20 damage to anyone close. The boiler takes 10 minutes and a successful knowledge check with engineer's tools to repair. Cool. I guess, yes, you can kind of like, it's a little bit like the Bomb Maker's one, where you can, you get to do one last big hit at people before you're taken out of action. Cool, dig it. Let's see, unarmed, one might say. Exactly. Let's see. So character progression. HP, so you add 3 HP every level. Ability score, advantage on strength, proficiency as always. So here's the stuff you can add to your armor. And you can switch. Let's see. An ex-marine prison level, they need to modify a bolt thrower. Choose one of the modifications. All modification can be switched out for a different one when leveling up next. All right, cool. So what modifications? Let's see. So grapple gun. Big fan of grapple guns. You can attach a grappling hook to your bolt thrower that can shoot up to distant. If shot at a target, on a successful hit, the target is caught. If shot at a railing or other structure, on a successful hit, a grapple and cable is attached that can be easily climbed. An ex-marine can unhook the cable as a free action. Bolt thrower cannot shoot bolts while the grappling hook is being used. Cool. Solid. Mobility powers and also catching and trapping enemies. Dig it. Hit like a cannon. Once per combat, the ex-marine may make one unarmed attack against a close opponent with an amount of advantage die equal to their level. Whoa, super, this is your Falcon Punch, your Super Punch. Cool. Fumes no more. An ex-marine modifies their exoskeleton to include a particle respirator. They are immune to the effects of airborne toxins while wearing their helmet. Nice. Okay. Again, depends on how often you're dealing with airborne toxins as to how useful this will be. I'm assuming there are parts, especially underground and in the shadow, that have like fumes and fungi in the air and stuff, and this would probably make a good advancement if you're going to explore those areas. Machine driven. An ex-marine can automate their punches. Once a day per level, an ex-marine may use their main action to continue to make unarmed strikes against the target until they fail an attack roll. Okay, I love that. So basically, once per day per level, but with every level you can basically go like, it's the ora ora ora. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the ora 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 power. So basically, it's like one punch, and then did that hit? Cool. I punch again. Did that hit? Cool. I punch again. Did that hit? Cool. And just ora 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 ora. Okay, I love it. Any power that lets you get away with an ora ora is solid in my book. Sold, even if nothing else happened with this character class. That single ability alone, that's what I'm picking. If I'm ever playing an ex-marine, that is my level 1 ability. I'm starting with that shit, because that's dope as fuck. Exploding attacks instead of just exploding dice. Exactly. Let's see. Needs a cannon. Okay, so you have one that only happens at level 5. First time we've seen this. We've seen all the requirement for level 3. This one is your final ability. Given an hour, the use of an engineer's kit, and some iron pipe, an ex-marine can turn their bolt thrower into a cannon. While their bolt thrower is a cannon, it cannot shoot bolts or grapples, only bombs. Hashtag only bombs. The cannon can be fired up to distant without penalty or up to far away with disadvantage die. The cannon takes a main action to fire, a main or move action to reload. Cool though. So you basically turn your bolt thrower into a cannon and you shoot bombs. Cool. Interesting how this is only level 5. I'm guessing this is more... Well, yeah, because everybody else that's doing bombs is throwing them just with their hands, right? So you're really only hitting, like, close and near targets. So the fact that this can go up to distant without penalty, I guess, yeah, you would have a penalty for distant. This can go up to distant without penalty or far away with advantage. So basically gives you extra range, so you're hitting enemies with bombs before they're even getting to you, which is solid. It's solid. I'm guessing the kind of battle that you might be engaging in at level 5, where you might be actually fighting entire armies, or at least like, you know, like entire squads of like, you know, people from Silver, or you might be actually going up against the Silver City itself. Yeah, you want to be able to like start a fucking war here. So makes sense logically. I'd have to play with the system to see how big of an effect it is in game, right? How much, whether this is really worth having to wait to level 5 through it. Let us continue, because now I want to see the Fungalians. Before we read about them, let's look at the art. There's one of my favorite arts in the book. Here we go. Look at them there. Look at those clockwork orange looking motherfuckers right there. If you ever need a street poet berserker, you find yourself a Fungalian. Look at them. They look fun. They look fun. She specifically looks like trouble. I may have a type. Let's read about these Fungalians though. Let's see what's up with them. So, if you ever need a street poet berserker, you find yourself a Fungalian. Some people eat fungus for food. Some people use it to hallucinate. Some people brew it into medicine. Some people use it to commune with animals. Fungalians, though, they use it to go crazy and rip their foes apart limb by limb. A nice, normal thing like that. Alright, so these are combaters. Look at them, starting HP 14, HP recovered per rest 3. So they are frontline fighters like the Power Armor and the Anarchist Knights. These are meant to be frontline fighters. So having looked at these before, again, I like the Fungalians. I just like the idea of like mushroom berserkers. They are a combination they are a barbarian. They're a combination of like, they've got bard aspects to them, barbarian aspects to them. It's kind of cool. I dig it. Yes, fun is the word. Yeah, built-in esme time. Exactly. There we go. I like that. That's solid. Like, hey, need to take a quick cat break and for my camera to cool down. So let's see here. Yeah, strength is the main thing. Will is a good second one for class abilities. Blah blah, melee weapons. So these are up close and personal, light armor, heavy armor, and shields, mycomancy tools, and horses. Interesting. Language stone, penumbran. Okay, so you start with an axe, a sword, a mace, 5 knives. You are loaded for bear. You start with Poet's Mail, some heavy armor, a mycomancy kit, knowledge of a secret smuggling route, and an anonymous poem of pure mastery that they're 60% convinced they wrote. Love it. Okay, so let's see. So starting reputation. So these are aligned with the reasonable. They're actually kind of centrists. I guess mostly because they don't care who wins. I feel like they're very self-centered, most likely. which is why they're kind of neutral with everybody. But the bulwark they still don't like. They're neutral, but they're not fans, which is why they're going to end up being part of the revolution. Let's see here. So, non-combat abilities. Starting up there. A strange creature. Fungalians are masters of controlling attention. During moments of calm or tension, they may speak strangely and poetically, making a will check to either enrapture or bore a target. On a successful check, the target only pays attention to the Fungalian. This provides an advantage die to anyone attempting to sneak past the target or otherwise take advantage of their distracted state. After doing this, whomever they are distracting pays extra attention to them. So see what I mean about Barbarian? Like that's a bard ability. That's like take over a crowd, take over attention. That's classic bard ability. Put on a show, start doing poetry and whatever so that the other folk can sneak by. Let's see. Knack for performing. A Fungalian can also draw the attention of a crowd by performing poetry. While performing for an audience, a Fungalian can make a will check with a number of advantage die equal to their level. On a successful will check, the crowd will provide basic services like food, shelter, and gossip for an evening, as long as the Fungalian's reputation with the crowd is -2 or higher. Again, bard shit. It's straight up, just like I put on a show, and they welcome us in, and they give us dinner, even if it's just for tonight. Bard. Smuggler's Code. A Fungalian knows the secret ciphers of smugglers. Smuggler ciphers are made up of marks and covert symbols. So this is the same, again, no real dick stepping. You want more than one class to be able to do the thing. So just like the Corsorian Knights, the anarchist paladins, they also are tied in with the smugglers, and they know the codes. The Smuggler's Code, all good. And final non-combat ability, Fungal Fanatics. A Fungalian makes knowledge checks about effects related to fungus, mycomancy, and chemical alteration with a number of advantage dice equal to their level. A Fungalian can also give someone a mushroom during calm that will alleviate most of their pain, calm them down, or give them energy. So they like the shrooms, they know about the shrooms, they're good with the shrooms. Shrooms. So a lot of bard stuff, some knowledge stuff, specifically with their little shroom session. Now let's see what they can do in a fight. Combat abilities. So first thing is, I would like to rage. While the Corsorian Knight is, I would like to trance. These guys, straight up barbarian, go into a rage battle. Rage, a Fungalian may choose as a free action to eat a mushroom from their mycomancy kit to enter a bloodlust rage, shouting obscenities and poetry with equal vigor, and attacking anyone they perceive to be harming the Fungalian or others. Once enraged, a Fungalian remains in that state until combat ends. Fungalians actually have an antidote in their mycomancy kit, but once enraged, they refuse to take it. Others who eat this mushroom will just get high. Cool. So what happens during battle rage? Here we go. While in a rage, a Fungalian gains the following benefits. They may use the main action to make 2 attacks, presuming they have a weapon in each hand and are attacking close targets. So now you see why they have an axe, a sword, a mace, and knives. If a Fungalian fails a strength check, they can make a will check an amount of times equal to their level per combat. If they succeed on the will check, they can act as if the strength check succeeded. I dig that. Push through the pain, basically. If a Fungalian hits an opponent with a melee weapon and has an excessive success, so rolls a 1, the opponent is frightened, the Fungalian having done or said something to them that makes them afraid. So it's a different kind of rage. I dig it. It's not... Again, it's a similar concept. The Corsorian Knight goes into a trance. I actually want to go back real quick so we can kind of compare. So tenants, here we go, the trance. So the Corsorian Knight goes into a trance, and what they get is advantage on will checks, advantage die on defense. You can keep it, if you kill an enemy, you can kind of keep going. And if you take damage and you go out of action, no you didn't, right? That's basically it. So it's more of a defensive and slow plotting. I take the hits and I keep going. While the Fungalian one here is very much more offense focused. It is a rage versus a trance. I like that. They have different mechanical flavors. Their thing is mostly about doing damage. But if they do get hit, here's their reaction. Oi! As a reaction to being hit by a melee weapon, the Fungalian may grab the weapon, taking an additional 1 damage, but they also headbutt the attacker. The headbutt attack is made with strength and does 1d4 damage. You know what I mean? They're not defending. This is like, I thought like this was maybe something, a defense thing. It's not really. It's just like, it's more offense. It's like if you get hit, you can choose to get hit even harder in exchange to fuck them up just a little bit more. War Poet. A number of times equal to their level per day, scales with you, a Fungalian can use a free action to recite encouraging poetry. The Fungalian makes a will check. On a successful will check, one target within hearing range gains an advantage die on the next check of their target's choice. The target must declare before making the check that they are using. So basically, we're back to Bard shit. You start with this, you're the ability, as you're fighting, you are spouting out poetry, and every now and then, one of those random bits of poetry is going to be so inspiring to your allies that they're going to get an advantage on something because of it. Nice, nicely done. Battle Ready. A Fungalian can, as a free action, administer an antidote to someone. Solid. And Madness Unveiled. When a Fungalian goes out of action, so there's an out of action ability, while in a battle rage, they may inanely babble on their turn, saying cryptic and unnerving things, their body being controlled by the mushrooms they have ingested rather than their mind. When a human comes close to them while in this state, the Fungalian makes a will check. On a success, the opponent is afraid to approach them. So it's basically you are out of action, but you don't really have to worry so much about them coming in to finish you off, because instead of going down, you just kind of like, you start saying this weird fucked up shit, and if somebody's coming up and then they hear the fucked up shit you're saying, they'll be like, you know what? No, not dealing. Not my circus, not my monkeys, not my mushrooms. Fuck that. I'm heading that way. I dig that. I dig that as an ability. All right. And then as you go up, so you gain 3 HP, strength is your advantage. Let's see what you get, what special mushroom powers we get as we go up in level. A Fungalian has progressed to learn to use Mycomancy to have mushrooms produce different results when ingested, either by enhancing their battle rage or by feeding others mushrooms and choosing how it affects a person with their Mycomancy. When creating a Fungalian and when leveling up, a player chooses one of the abilities below to know how to use when leveling up. An old ability can switch out for a new one. Okay, cool. So let's see what we can do. First one is Nighty Night. A Fungalian can cause their mushrooms to, when eaten, paralyze someone for 10 minutes or until an antidote is administered. The mushroom can be hidden in food, or a Fungalian can make a strength check during calm or tension to force feed a caught target. Cool. Without Fear. While in a battle range, a Fungalian cannot be frightened and they have advantage on will checks. I like that. I kind of feel like that should have been built into the basic battle rage, but cool. I dig it. I have a feeling that being frightened is I still don't know what being frightened actually does as a status. Maybe we'll see that. I mean, definitely we'll see that elsewhere in the book. I don't doubt it. But given some of the effects that I'm seeing, it feels like it's probably a really bad thing to end up frightened. Let's see. Toxin's Trust. While in a battle rage, a Fungalian is immune to poisons and toxins, like the paralyzing poisons from creatures, blowgun poisons, and the effects of vapors. The Fungalian still takes damage associated with this. Cool. So you are immune to poison while you're in your rage. Mycomastery. A Fungalian can feed someone a fungus that negates the effects of hermetic magic that controls someone. A Fungalian feeds someone a fungus and then makes a will check. On a successful will check, the effect is undone. That's cool, but it's so specific. I guess once we see hermetic magic and how it works, we'll see if that's common enough to make this. My only concern with some of these is that you only get to pick them when you level up, and they are so situation specific that it's like, you know, like this, your mushrooms can paralyze someone for 10 minutes. This is useful in all sorts of things. This is useful in very specific situations, but they both require a level up. I mean, they can't all be perfectly balanced, I guess, but it's just, that's my only concern there. But then again, I don't know. I'm sure there were others in some of the previous character classes that were also very kind of situation specific. I don't know why it bothers me extra in this one. I guess just because I don't know enough about hermetic magic and how common this is. Controlling people with it is. Maybe it's a bigger deal than I'm making it out to be. Let's see. Frenzy. A number of times equal to their level per day while in a battle rage, a Fungalian can enter a frenzy as a free action after hitting a close opponent with a melee weapon. They can keep making attack rolls against that creature until they miss one. Okay, so basically kind of like the automatic punch. Probably something that I would pick up if I was making a Fungalian. And then Foreboding Word. Once per session, so this has got to be a big one. As a main action, yep, got to be a big one, a Fungalian opens themselves up to the vast network of mycomancy-connected fungus that lives in and under the city. That vast network, for a moment, speaks through the Fungalian's voice to those nearby. It speaks of things the Fungalian couldn't know, of those that hear its fears. The words are semi-coherent, cryptic, and terror-inducing to all that hear them. Any opponents nearby are frightened. Again, sounds like this is kind of like a big deal. I need to see what the effects of frightened actually are in game. When this subsides, the Fungalian has no memory of it happening or anything they said. Yeah, the fact that this is such a big deal, it's multi-target and it frightens them all, but it's once per session. Yeah, I gotta see what Frightened does. We'll get to it. I don't want to skip around as much this time as we did last time. I'm just kind of gonna go through the character classes. We're making our way through them. What time is it? It is 4 p.m. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next character class, the Gaslampers. All right, Gaslampers. We got some art, so let's admire it. There we go. These are on that horse. They've got their little cane horse. They've got their crossbow. Cool, cool. So what's so cool about these suave motherfuckers who have horses and crossbows and silver tongues? I mean, not literal silver tongues. It's an expression that means that they're good at talking. Thank you, game. Though if anyone on our side was likely to have real silver tongues, it would be a Gaslamper. So these are medium rangers. You know, they're kind of like the dog girls, starting HP 12, HP recovered per rest 2. They're big on speed, so they feel like dog girls, except these are horse boys, because they have horses. Penumbra in one language, so you start with a black horse. They're horse boys. Horse boys, expensive clothing, an armored coat, light armor, sword cane, which is sword and club, a crossbow, and an ancient heirloom of mysterious origin that implies the world was once much different. Starting reputation, you're aligned with the revolutionists, but you're also aligned with the reasonable. You're part of the fraternal and sororal order of gaslighters. I mean, Gaslampers. I wonder if there's something there. All right, let's look at their abilities. Non-combat abilities. Silver-tongued. Anytime a Gaslamper encounters someone from a coalition that they have a negative reputation with, they can roll a will check to be treated as though the reputation is 1 higher. Silver-tongued bastards. Okay, so here's a little bit more of the bard. So like the Fungalian. So Fungalians are more like anarchist barbarians, while these guys are more like bard bucklers, swashbuckling bards, bard bucklers. I'm not expecting that one to catch on. Let's see, charmed, I'm sure. A number of times per session equal to their level, a Gaslamper can announce that a person, regardless of reputation, finds them charming regardless of reputation. This does not increase their reputation with the individual, just means they find you charming. Okay, so this Billy would play this, my friend Billy. If you don't know about Billy, you should. That podcast, I'm sure Nightbot will tell you about FanDuel at some point. But yes, this is the kind of character that he would play. You can just say like, oh yeah, this guy likes me. This guy likes me. I like that. I just like that ability, just be able to go like, no, that guy really likes me actually, because he can't help it. Well-to-do. Gaslampers, Fandability, aka Byron Clayton. Exactly. Yeah, well, there we go. Stream Elements has got me because Struggle Bus, you got it. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Although I'm pretty sure you're just advertising to yourself. Is there anyone else? Let's see. What's my little counter say in terms of... I don't even know if it can show me. I don't know, man. I don't know. Point is, thank you. Let's go with the, okay, well-to-do. Here we go. Gaslampers are well-versed in the social niceties of high society. A Gaslamper makes knowledge checks to recall some piece of etiquette with an advantage die. They are very capable at looking like they belong in wealthy crowds, and make will checks to impersonate a member of the Silver, the Devils, Lords of the New Order, or the Church of Ath with an advantage die. So they're good. They're nobility. They're good at acting like nobility, and they're good at pretending like they're other kinds of nobilities. Cool. Calming presence. A Gaslamper cannot be frightened. Wait, seriously? After making such a big deal about how frightened is kind of a big deal, and these guys are just randomly immune to it? Why? What makes them immune to being frightened? I'm not so much a complaint, it's just like a, really? Just straight up immune to being frightened after so many other character classes? It's weird. Building the habit is still an effort because no, exactly. Very true, which is why we do the thing. That's weird. Additionally, all allies who are close to the Gaslamper gain advantage on will checks to avoid being frightened or otherwise disturbed. Do they have, like, I don't see like this whole Gaslamper thing. That's okay. So there is kind of like a champion, leader, calming presence, aura kind of thing going on here. That one's, it feels a little unexpected. I guess they can, like this, them being like a calming presence, but what? I guess let's keep reading. Maybe I'm missing something. It just feels like a lot. It feels kind of weird considering. Let's see how this goes. All right, so now we go into what they can do in a fight. So horseback warriors, like the dog girls, they are good at fighting while mounted. They practice fighting from horseback and are fierce warriors. Moving on a horse uses the Gaslamper's move action. While mounted, they gain the following benefits. You can move and fight without making an ability check to stay mounted. Solid. They do not have to make checks to calm their horse if it is injured. Good. Also, please don't hurt the horsey. They may move to distant on their turn, so higher mobility, and also break up their move action with their main. Okay, so just like dog girls. Make speed checks except to attack or defend with an advantage die. Again, like dog girls, your mounted combat stuff, pretty standard. Gaslamper's horse is incredibly well trained. A Gaslamper can vocally signal to their horse in a variety of ways, from calling for them to come towards the Gaslamper to asking them to roll over. Most things a dog can do, a Gaslamper can get their horse to do. In combat, signaling their horse is a free action. So like super horse, you don't just get a horse, you get capital H horse, you get ketamine horse. They can mount and dismount their horse as a free action. Okay, cool. Sword and cane. When a Gaslamper fights with a sword in one hand and a club in the other, such as when they draw their sword from their cane, kind of like there, but they're not doing it this way, he's just got this cane there. They can attack with each part as a single standard action. Oh, they can attack with each as part of a single standard. So basically, so long as you're using your sword and cane, you basically get 2 attacks per round with those. A sword attack and a club attack. In addition, they can make attack rolls with any club, such as the cane of their sword, with speed instead of strength. A Gaslamper can fight with sword and cane effectively while mounted on a horse. So you have a very specific style that you're very good at. Wild hooves, and apparently your horse fights. As a reaction to being hit by an attack from a close opponent, a mounted Gaslamper can make a will check. On a success, the Gaslamper's horse rears up and the player rolls a d4 to determine what happens. I'm gonna roll off. Okay, so this missed. This was supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and you turned into regular bullet points. Again, editing. I don't mean to nitpick, but there should be numbers because you're specifically asking for what the roll result is. Anyway, so I'm assuming it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. So on a 1, the attack misses. On a 2, the attack hits the horse instead. That sucks. On a 3, the attack hits the Gaslamper, but the opponent is knocked down. Cool. And 4, the attack hits the horse, but the horse also does 1d4 damage to the opponent with its hooves. So that's a complication. So it looks like we're going to need, I'm guessing later on in the book somewhere, horses are defined, right? How many hit points they have and all that stuff. And presumably they might cover how your horse heals. Look, I'm very worried about the horse. That's all I'm saying. Bikes can be rebuilt. Horses are horsies. Poor horsies. Let's see. Boltsman. A Gaslamper who fires a crossbow as her first main action can always go first in the initiative order. Further, a Gaslamper can reload one crossbow as a free action on their turn. Cool. So again, you have some very specific combat styles, and they're very good at the things they're good at. Equine Bond. When a Gaslamper goes out of action in the presence of their horse, the horse will protect the body of the Gaslamper, attacking opponents with its hooves. The attack uses the Gaslamper's speed and does 1d4 damage. The horse can also drag or carry the Gaslamper's body to nearby. So again, you're out of action, like to try and get you out of trouble and protect you. Some people mumble unintelligible words from beyond the fungal mind. Some get their pet horse to drag them out of combat. Either way, it works. All right, so let's see what happens when we grow. How many attacks does Gaslamper have? Well, so they have a lot of different attack types. By default, you just have your one attack as your main action in this game. But if you are fighting with a sword and cane, you effectively have 2 attacks per round with your sword and cane. Or if instead of sword and cane, you're using your crossbow as a boltsman, then your big advantage there is that you're going to basically get to go quick draw, basically. You get to go first in the initiative order because you're real quick. This is what you do. You're as a crossbow, and you get to reload as a free action on your turn. So long as you're on your horse, and I guess you're keeping your distance, your horse lets you do you can basically move to distance on your turn, so you can stay out of range and keep shooting single bolts. It's not 2 attacks like with the sword and cane, but yeah, taking those bolt attacks at the beginning. And if you do have to close in, switch to sword and cane, fuck them up. I'm surprised considering that the Gaslampers are... I thought they would be more social, right? I thought, and they keep saying about the swap motherfuckers and the fact that most of their combat abilities are real bard stuff. But they're also just really surprisingly good at combat. What's the downside here? And this whole Gaslampers cannot be frightened feels a little OP compared to some of the others. Then again, maybe not that much, because we're looking at people with friggin' super motorcycles and frickin' where's the power armor go? Yeah, and power armor. So maybe not, but it almost feels like you made them they're good at everything, right? They're too good at everything they do. The horse also has a free action to attack on turn. So the horse it's well trained. You can vocally signal the horse to do the thing. And yeah, you can signal to the horse. I don't think the horse attacks on its own, but you do have the reaction, Matthew. You do have the reaction to being hit by an attack from a close opponent, a mounted guest. So basically, the horse doesn't automatically attack, right? Let me double check that, right? Let's make sure. No, basically, you're just very good at riding them, but you can use your reaction and roll, and the horse can kind of get into that and attack back, but also the attack can hurt you. It's basically a way to deflect the damage and possibly do some damage back with it. If you go out of action, if you fall in combat, then your horse will basically stand by you and fight for you and do like 1d4 damage. But that's if you're down, and it's mostly just defending your fallen body. So you only really have the one main action. With potential double attack if you're using the sword and cane style. So it still works out. Let's see here. So what happens as you level up? 2 HP. Again, this feels a lot like the Dog Girls. There's a lot of mobility, some specific attacks that you can do. You're kind of in mid-range on the hit points and recovery. So yeah, you've got your mid-range, your frontline combat, and we still haven't gotten to the actual proper magic users and distance. So Gunslinger is probably going to be more distance. We'll get to them very shortly. Let's see. But so far we've seen mostly up close fighters and mobile fighters with all the other classes. So let's see. I'm curious to see what the more distance focused and magic focused classes can do. Struggle Bus over on Twitch. Struggle Bus says hi, Matthew. I'm acting as a connector between platforms. Hello, YouTube. YouTube says hi to Twitch. Twitch says hi to YouTube. And I'm stuck in the middle with me. All right, let's see what happens as we go up in level. By the way, I don't know how long you've been active. Could you combo a double attack? Let's see, asks Matthew over on YouTube. Could you combo a double attack and then leave combat to take an attack of opportunity to then trigger the horse for more damage possibility? Not necessarily, because this uses a D20 system, but it's not D&D, and it's not really grid based. Like there, you would move. There's like close, nearby, far, and distant, and so you kind of move between those 4 spots on the battlefield, and it's really determined. It's relative, right, to the enemy. So you might be close to this enemy and distant from this other enemy, and so forth. So there really isn't an official. Attack of opportunity thing. Some character classes do have that. I think the Corsorian Knights, one of their abilities is that if an enemy tries to move out of range with you, you get to take a hit. But there isn't like so much of an attack of opportunity here. But you can. Again, you wouldn't be able to do a double attack with anything except sword and cane, really, just based on this. Because if you're using, let's say you're using a bastard sword or a big club or something, that where you don't get this double attack, you only get the one. You do have the ability while you're mounted to, which, let me take a step back. By default, you can't split your move act and take the rest of your move, because since this isn't grid-based, by default, most characters can only move from one range to another. So you wouldn't be able to move from close to nearby, do something, and then finish moving from nearby to far. If you wanted to do that normally, you would have to spend your main action to keep moving so you don't get an attack. These guys, specifically the Dog Girl and the Gaslamper here, because they're using mounted combat, they have greater mobility, so they can actually move to ranges. So they would be able to take a move, do an attack. In the case of this guy, if he has a sword and cane, do 2 attacks. Otherwise, just the 1 attack with this 1 weapon, and then continue moving. But that's specific to them. But he wouldn't be able to do 2 attacks. In fact, even with the sword and cane thing, it specifically says if you're fighting with a sword in one hand and club in the other, then you can attack with each as part of a single standard action. So even then, you wouldn't be able to do with your horse, move, attack with your sword, continue moving, taking your extra moving action from the thing, and then attack with the club. They are both a single standard action. So the best you would be able to do is move, double attack with your sword and cane, then continue moving. But you wouldn't be able to, like, if you leave combat, that's it. You're out of combat for that round. You would come back in a separate round, and you would be back to just your normal damage. So I don't think you would be able to do more than that on a single round, unless we find some other power that lets you do that. Speaking of which, let's see what the character progression looks like for this one. Let's see. So HP is 2 extra per level. Your bonus, or your better chance to raise an ability score is on speed. Okay, so riding progression. Let's see. You get to pick one of these as you start, and then you pick the other ones as you level up. So first ability is Charge. When a mounted Gaslamper attacks with a melee weapon starting from nearby, they may attack with an advantage die. When a charge attack hits an opponent that is equal size, so this is kind of like the Dog Girl thing where you can do a charge. So long as you've got distance between you, they're not close to you, they're nearby, then you can ramp up with your horse and thwack with an advantage die, and if it hits, you knock them down. Cool, solid. Parry. Okay, so I'm watching an anime series called I Parry Everything. It is exactly what it says on the tin. It is a dude who's kind of just a himbo, and he delivers exactly what it says on the tin. He parries everything. He has 1 ability. He has more abilities. I'm not gonna go into detail, but the main thing he does is he's no good in general. He's just good at the 1 skill. He got really ridiculously good at parrying. And so every episode is called something like I parry a cow, or I parry an arrow, or whatever. And then the episode proceeds to deliver exactly that. I just saw an episode called I Parry an Army. And then I saw an army pop up on screen, and the series had already prepared me for this. That army was going to get parried. That army was going to get parried. So I sat back and I waited for it, and the episode fucking delivered. That guy parried that army. I appreciate it when something delivers exactly what it promises to deliver right on the tin. Okay, it says I parry everything. Every episode he tells you what he's going to parry, and then he goes in and he parries it. It's ridiculous. I've been laughing my ass off with it. It's stupid, and I love it. It is a great series, Matthew. I'm a big fan of it. It's not great writing. It is just fun. It is fun. It kind of knows what it is, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the sincerity and the sheer commitment to the bit. I love the commitment to the bit. So all that to say, big fan of parrying. Let's see if the Gaslamper can deliver. So the Gaslamper may, instead of attacking with their cane, add an advantage die to their next defense roll from a melee weapon or unarmed strike. If the defense roll excessively succeeds, the opponent drops the weapon. The ability can be used while dismounted as well. Okay, I dig that. So you have an ability to basically turn, instead of doing the double attack, you can kind of go into defensive mode by choosing parry, and you can use your sword cane. So this is a roll, Matthew, just in case, this game is roll under, it's D20, which roll under, and it is the kind of game where the GM doesn't really roll for almost anything. So instead of me as the GM rolling to have an enemy hit you, instead I would say this enemy attacks you, roll to defend, and you as the player then roll your defense, whatever that may be. In some cases it's strength, in some cases it's speed. You may have advantage or disadvantage, etc., depending on the stuff. But basically that's what this applies. Like basically by going into parry mode, you are sacrificing your double attack with sword and cane, and instead you get advantage. You get an extra advantage die on the next defense roll that you take from a melee weapon or unarmed strike. And if it excessively succeeds, basically a nat 1, just like a nat 20 in D&D would be exceptional success. So an excessive success, since you're trying to roll low in this game, is a nat 1. So a nat 1 is an excessive success. If you get one of those, you basically disarm the enemy. Nice, cool. And this one also works while dismounted. Excellent. So good. You can go into defensive mode if for whatever reason you're off your horse. Solid ability. Probably would pick it. Also, again, big fan of the series. Sure, I parry everything. Deadly Shot. Next ability we can pick. Gaslamper may sacrifice their main action in order to gain a number of advantage die equal to their level on their next crossbow attack. This ability can be used while dismounted as well. Okay, cool. And this is not limited by number of days. It's basically an aim action. This is basically you take an action, you take your turn to aim, and next turn, when you actually take a shot with your crossbow, you gain extra advantage die, and it levels up with you. So if you're level 4, you gain 4 extra advantage dice. By the way, in this game, it maxes out at 5. So there's not a lot of progression. You gain levels. Most of the progression is on the social side, and there's a lot of faction building stuff. I just want to show those pages real quick. That's combat. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, there's a lot of faction building stuff and stuff you can get from each faction and how to grow reputation. That's really how you progress in this game. It's very much a game about coalition building and mutual aid. I recommend, if you can put up with another 3-hour rambling stream on YouTube, I believe yesterday's stream should be there. So I talk a lot more about that system, the faction coalition building system, and what I think about it. I was honestly overall very impressed and surprised at how well it seems to work. So I recommend checking that one out, because if I get into it now, I will completely derail again just on that, and I do want to get through the rest of the character series. So let's see. So Deadly Shot is basically aim. Solid plan, cool, scales with you. So at higher levels, you are definitely doing you are making that shot. Barrel Racer, a number of times equal to their level per session. Okay, so so probably powerful. A mounted Gaslamper, okay, only works when you're on your horse, may gain advantage die on speed checks to outrun something or perform some incredible act of horsemanship, like jumping over a barricade. Cool. Cool. Yeah, this is solid. As you get higher level, it grows with you, lets you pull off badass rule of cool stuff on your horse. I approve of this. No complaints, no problems with that one. And Trample. Once per session, a Gaslamper may trample an opponent as a free action. The attack uses the Gaslamper's speed and does 1d20 damage. If the opponent is smaller or equal size to the horse, the opponent is knocked down as well. Okay, so that's a big attack. No wonder it's once per session. Because that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage, right? And speed is probably your best stat as a Gaslamper. So it's... I don't know if I would have preferred that this... And maybe something that I would house... Oh, thank you, Matthew. Take care. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know if I would take Trample and maybe house rule it to do 1d10 damage and let it happen once per session per level rather than just once per session period, because this kind of makes it an ultimate attack. But also, what if you roll a 1 on that 1d20, right? So I feel like I would make it slightly less powerful and more usable, but that's me. That's just me. Again, I'd have to see how it works. Appreciate you looking out for the low rollers. No, look, I'm approaching this from that point of view of I want my players to have a good time, and especially having run so many games for people like Dave, who rolls so poorly. I try to keep that in mind. What happens if your dice are just against you? How do you still have fun? How do I, as a game designer and as a storyteller, make sure that you still are having fun despite your dice? And it's hard to do. It's hard to do. A lot of games really don't want to help you with that. So, you know, so like I said, I would probably, I would probably kind of tone this down to kind of at least spread out the pain a little more, if nothing else. All right, so let's check out the Gunslinger. So now officially, because I had seen most of these character classes before, I'd given them a quick once-over. Now we are officially hitting character classes that I have not seen at all. This is as far as I had ever gotten. Oh, there we go. As far as I had ever gotten in this book. Still got a lot further to go, but I'm not, again, the stuff that's just pure setting and NPCs we'll leaf through it. I do want to see like some stuff in the systems, right? We'll leaf through it and we'll look at some specific things. Oh man, we got so much. We still have, look at all this to go. We haven't even gotten to the Rat King yet. I want to read about my Command-C and healing, especially very important to me. But then after that, this is settings, how to, diversity, getting around. Okay, I do want to look at languages and see if there's... The fact that we're getting a full description of each language makes me wonder what we'll find in here that might be interesting. Oh, hey, there's a map. I remember how you were asking for a map the other day, Strugglebus? There it is. I knew it was in here somewhere. So there is your map of Penumbra City. Right, so you got the Dead Quarter, you got the Plaza, which is where you're probably going to be based, Penumbra South, Old Town, the South Docks, Penumbra North, North Docks, Iron Quarter, and there's the Shadow and the Silver, and then the countryside. So there we go. Way different than what you were envisioning. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, it makes you think like, oh, the entire city is under the shadow of the Silver. And no, it's just that like the Silver still floats. There is a floating city up here somewhere, but the shadow of it really only covers like this part. The rest of it just is there. It's filthy. The air is filled with coal dust and whatnot. But yeah, that's what this looks like. So there we go. Except we'll leave the rest of the book These are just, I think this part specific of the character parts are just the one that I really do want to dive into. Then after that, we'll leaf through it. We'll touch here and there as we go. Let's check out the Gunslingers. So the Gunslingers, let's check out the art. Here we go. So let's look at the art. So the art in this book is kind of limited, so we take time to appreciate it when we get it. Look at that. The man in black walked across the sand and the gunslinger followed. Every gunslinger I've met always has an escape plan and an escape plan for the escape plan, so I bet they're doing fine. All right, let's take a look at what the gunslinger can do. I'm curious. Almost every other character class has had a twist or something that's made it interesting, so I'm curious to see what that twist is going to be with the gunslinger. Let's see. I like guns because they're simple. In goes the cartridge, out goes the bullet. Gunslingers, they like guns because they're complicated. They're always improving on their designs, trying out new twist rates for their barrels, new ways of necking down cartridges, and other things that go way over my head. Most gunslingers are nomadic sorts, which is getting harder and harder with the war creeping closer. I hope they're feeling alright, not feeling too cooped up. Every gunslinger I've met always has an escape plan, and then an escape plan for the escape plan, so I bet they're doing fine. Most gunslingers wander the city, the country, or the world, offering their services to those they deem worthy. Their services are invaluable, so they never lack for potential clients. In Penumbra City, most of them call home. Oh, sorry, it's Penumbra City, most of them call home, though, and the finest gunsmitheries can be found here. Is gunsmithery a real word? My editor says yes, it's a word, though she had to look it up. So, let's see. So they are, again, mid-rangers, starting HP 12, HP recovered per rest 2. They are going to be all about speed and knowledge. Let's see, melee weapons and firearms, light armor only, engineer's tools, and dog's wheels, so they can ride motorcycles like the dog girls. Nice. Language some, Penumbran, and one other language. Most of them are outsiders, so many outsiders know outside, a diasporic language of the Oso Mountains. Because, yeah, they do kind of establish that these are the outsiders, that the gunslingers mostly come from the outsiders, who are these immigrants that live in the graveyard. So, that's cool. Let's see, you start with 2 knives, a handgun, fine handgun with 1 modification, so we'll see what those are. And then another 2 basic handguns, and then a rifle, basic one, but with modifications. Engineer's kit, scavenger armor, so light armor, and an ancient map to somewhere deep in the mountains. You're not sure if it's the treasure to your ancestral home, or if it's just a doodle someone gave your grandfather. There's a cryptic message on it that potentially reveals something significant about history. Let's see, starting reputation, they are aligned with the revolutionists, neutral with everybody else. Non-combat abilities, so let's see what we have for them outside of a fight. Natural engineer. During moments of calm or tension, a gunslinger may roll knowledge instead of strength for any check by applying engineering to the problem. This might involve determining the weak point of a door to break it down, leveraging their body effectively to climb a wall, or constructing an impromptu wheelbarrow to move a large object. I dig that. I dig that. It's interesting that they gave that to the gunslinger and not the clackers. But I dig it. Okay. Next ability for the gunslingers, song and story. So this is a social. So almost every class, I think every class that we've seen, looks like the book's a nice size for reading. Something I appreciate more. Yeah, no, it is. It's a solid size. The font is good. Like, yeah, it's a well, like I said, I wish it had more art. I say as I get lucky enough to move on to one of the few pages that has more art, but it's fine. I can live without the art. I do wish there was more of it because I actually like it. But that said, like, yeah, layout's pretty solid. It's a font that's a good size for reading. My old eyes certainly appreciate it. Like, yeah, it's a well laid out book. It's a good book. It's a good book. I've run into a few editing issues, like just one that we just saw, for example, here in this page, where like it asks you to roll a d4, and then based on a roll of blank on a roll of, like this should have been numbers here instead of nitpicks, minor nitpicks. Overall, though, very readable and just fun. So Song of Story. So I'm guessing this, almost every character, there's another thing I've liked about this. Pretty much every character class has had some sort of social thing. One of their abilities is social. So no character class is completely useless in a social situation. Almost all of them have some kind of social ability, whether it's the ability to know an NPC or to make a quick contact or to easily intimidate or impress or temporarily raise your reputation. Another thing that I strongly recommend that you from yesterday's is the whole reputation and coalition building aspect of this game, which is almost more important than your individual leveling up. And I think they do a really good job of making that not only something that your characters are going to want to do, but something that they're going to be rewarded for doing. And I always appreciate a game system that provides a mechanical system and incentive for you to engage with what its main theme is meant to be, which in this case is coalition and building and raising your reputation with factions and building up to hopefully eventually have a revolution and take down the God King. Is it a proper RPG book without editing? Is it a proper RPG book without? Exactly. If there weren't some editing issues, we'd be suspicious about it. So, but again, overall, they're minor things, and none of them has been a real impediment to figuring out the game or learning or anything like that. So I think we're doing okay. Let's see. The Song of Story. Outsiders are knowledgeable about music and lore. When building a gunslinger, a player chooses whether a gunslinger is good at music or lore. If music, the gunslinger starts with a small musical instrument and can make checks to perform with knowledge instead of will. If lore, a gunslinger makes knowledge checks to recall pieces of history or lore with an advantage die. Okay. Once per session, a gunslinger may perform for a crowd with whom they have a reputation between -2 and 0. So again, the reputation system actually matters. Either performing music or telling a story. While doing so, the gunslinger makes a knowledge check. On a success, the crowd will provide the gunslinger and their party with the basic services like food, shelter, and gossip for a few hours. See, there you go. Another one that has an ability similar to this is, I believe, the ex-Marine, which we just saw. Yeah, the ex-Marine has the war stories thing, which basically very similar, except doesn't have that requirement. This requirement here is that these are people who already kind of either are neutral towards you or have a slight dislike. Reputation go between -4 to +4. -2 is they don't trust you, but they're not like at war with you. This one doesn't have that, but it is basically lets you sort of tell war stories and people will treat you a little better than they normally would. And this one is kind of similar. It doesn't really change your reputation, not even temporarily, but it does at least make it so that you'll get some help. You'll get some basic services, food, shelter, and gossip for a few hours. So that's a good little, if you find yourself in an area where you don't normally have many friends, the gunslinger might be able to help you out of that situation. I dig that. And yeah, from the very brief description, reminds me a bit of Blades in the Dark. Yeah, exactly. Just like Strobel said, very similar vibes to Blades. It is very much the tower must fall. Like the Penumbra City is. I don't know if you were here when we were showing the map. Here, I went right through it. Nice. So this is the map of the city, of Penumbra City itself. And this shadow here, this part in the middle, silver, the shadow, so that is actually a city, a floating city high above, thousands of feet above. And this is its shadow, forever shadow underneath it. And yeah, like a god king rules from this floating city, and the nobles up there are pieces of shit, and fuck those guys. And down here in the city, you are part of a faction, the revolutionists, and building your faction, you're building the coalition, you're doing all this to hopefully, eventually, as your story goes, take down the God King. So good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that there's a in-game mechanical system for making that happen. And yeah, definitely Blades in the Dark vibes on this, which I can't help but love. So ambush. So in moments of calm, so just so you're aware, this game differentiates combat and non-combat as calm, tension, and combat, basically. So moments of calm are those moments when you're not normally making any rolls, when it's just social role play and exploration and stuff like that, where it's not a moment by moment. What's happening at every minute. You're probably not going to make rolls. If you're making rolls, especially rolls where it matters what's happening and who's going next, maybe not a full-on combat initiative kind of thing, but there's stuff going on, then you're in tension. Then if combat breaks out, if you're rolling initiative, then at that point that's combat, you're measuring rounds, etc., etc., etc. So there are a lot of abilities that make reference to that. So for example, this ambush one only works in moments of calm. So in moments of calm, a gunslinger may take an hour to strategically prepare an ambush. During an ambush, everyone in the party makes 2 knowledge checks. Okay, with 2 successful knowledge checks, I'm guessing just throughout the party, not just every individual. I guess for both. So everybody has their own thing. Okay, cool. So you as a gunslinger, you set up an ambush. Everyone in the party makes 2 knowledge checks. If for each person that makes a knowledge check, right? If they make them both, you're hidden and you can make an attack from nearby or distant. Combat is theater of the mind. It's got zones, close, nearby, distant, and very far. Like a lot of sort of theater of the mind games. That's as close as you're going to get to like ranges. Before initiative is called for. So basically you get to be hidden to do a surprise attack. If you only make 1 successful knowledge check, then you're hidden, but you don't get to make a surprise attack. And if anyone in the party fails both, then the ambush is spotted before anyone can act and initiative proceeds in the usual fashion. Okay, I have some thoughts about this ability. Because while it does make sense that if someone fails, then the ambush is spoiled. I get it. But I don't like one of my main class abilities, this ambush thing, which it appears I'm the only one that can do as a gunslinger. This is not an ability that anybody else has, so it's going to be special to me. Is something that I have no control over whether it's successful, and depends on whether the rest of my party can make at least 1 knowledge check, each of them. I thought I would kind of house rule this better. Well, not better, my opinion, right? I would house rule this to say that if you want to keep this whole thing where the rest of the party has to roll instead of you, have them all roll, but have those successes be for the party, right? So if everyone rolls, because we only get 1, they're not rolling with advantage. Everyone's just rolling 1. Actually, no, everyone's rolling twice based on this. So I'm curious if maybe it would work better if everyone rolls once. I guess it would depend on how many people are in your party. It's going to be tricky, but what I'm thinking is that the successes are handled by the whole party. So long as between the whole party there is at least 1 success, then everyone's hidden, but you don't get the surprise attack before initiative. But so long as throughout the whole party you got a grand total of at least 2 successes, then you are hidden and you get the surprise round. And then if you can't get any successes at all, then I guess you can make it so the ambush fails. I still hate the concept of using an ability and getting nothing for it and having the determiner for that be somebody else. But that's how I would kind of house rule this one, maybe. But again, maybe it works better in playtesting. I'm not sure. It rubs me the wrong way. I've run into a couple where like just the rules rub me the wrong way, but that may be pure personal preference on my end. So let's see, combat. So now, what can they do in a fight? So a pretty compact paragraph there. Combat abilities. Let's see. Most of their stuff is mostly being a gunslinger, in slinging them guns. Gunslingers are adept at ranged combat, you don't say. A gunslinger gains the following benefits. They can make 2 separate handguns attacks with 1 main action. Cool. Right away, that is already making them absolute badasses. By default, everybody only gets 1. The fact that if you have 2 handguns, you can make 2 attacks as with a single action, solid, that you're already a terror on the battlefield. Once per round, a gunslinger can reload 1 firearm as a free action. Cool, cool. Bang, reload, solid. They make all knowledge checks to repair or avoid damage occurring to firearms with an advantage die. Solid. You are good in a fight. You know how to use your guns. That is your main thing. No problem with that one. They make speed checks in combat that aren't to attack or defend with an advantage dice. Cool. Interesting that the other classes that get this are usually mounted classes, like the Dog Girl and the Silver Tongue Gaslampers. I don't remember seeing this with any other class that isn't mounted. But I guess you know, you're supposed to be fast and slippery as a gunslinger, I guess. So I'll take it. It's kind of interesting. They can shift the effective range of their handgun by 1 interval, shooting distant without disadvantage die and far away with 1 disadvantage die. When using a rifle, a gunslinger ignores range penalties entirely. Cool. You are better with guns than most people. That is how it should be. Once per round, while holding a rifle, a gunslinger may make an additional attack against a close opponent with the butt of their rifle as a free action. The attack is a speed and does 1 damage. Cool. Good. It's solid. Yeah, you're mostly a distance guy, but if you do get somebody up close, then you get this little extra attack, so you can defend yourself even if someone is up close to you. Solid. Nothing game breaking here. You are a terror on the battlefield with the two handgun attacks. And being able to reload means you're going to keep going. You're not going to get slowed down too much by having to reload. So just solid all-round gunslinger combat. Nothing too crazy here. Cover. Once per round as a free action, gunslinger may make a knowledge check to take cover during combat. So again, this game uses knowledge for stealth and hiding stuff for the most part. And here it comes up here again. If you're going to take cover, you're making a knowledge check, not a speed check. I mean, consistency, right? I dig that the game is sticking to that. It's an interesting choice. Okay, sure, let's go. On a successful check, they are behind cover and have a die of advantage on defense rolls when they are depending from nearby, distant, or far away. Once they make any attack roll, they are no longer behind cover. Cool, so duck and cover, move around, hide, free action to take cover, etc. Cool, you're moving, you're nimble rescue. So reaction, if an ally goes out of action, a gunslinger can drag that ally to nearby with a successful speed check. Yeah, you are definitely meant to be running all over the battlefield. And then the one last shot. So every character class has their out of action, the thing they can do when they are out of action, when they're taken out in combat. When a gunslinger goes out of action, as long as they have a loaded handgun, they may fire it once with a disadvantage die as a reaction. So even on the ground, you're bleeding, you're dazed, you're almost out of it, but you can still go, bang. Just take that one last shot. Okay, dig it. Some of them are more powerful than others, I've seen, but cool, I'll take it. Okay, so leveling up, 2 HP, focus on speed, proficiency are normal. So gunsmithing professions. So this one's actually interesting because there's actually a system here. So as a gunslinger progresses in level, they learn to modify their equipment and ammunition in different ways. A gunslinger starts the game knowing how to make 1 modification to their guns. Learn how to make 1 additional modification whenever they level up. Modifying a firearm takes 1 hour in a moment of calm and engineer's tools. Modifications to a gun are permanent. Some modifications can stack with others and some cannot. Only a gunslinger is proficient with modified firearms. Good to know. You can't just modify your gun and then give it to somebody else. They will not be proficient with it. Others use them with 3 disadvantage dice. So yeah, they definitely don't want to use guns that you've messed with because you're the only one. Well, you and other gunslingers are the only ones that know how those work, which, yeah, understandable, solid. Plus, it keeps a bit of dick stepping from happening. And also just keeps a little bit of cheese from happening with a gunslinger just going around modifying everybody's guns, and then you just got like a party of like, gunslingers. I mean, unless you actually make a party of actual gunslingers, in which case that'd be kind of dope. Let's see. So stuff you can pick up. So modifications. Scope. Rifle only. So, okay? If used during calm or tension, attacks with a scoped gun are made with a die of advantage. Cool, so that's your sniper modification. Can stack. Bean gun. This gun is modified to fire beanbags. If an opponent's HP is reduced to 0 with one of these guns, they are paralyzed for 10 minutes instead of dying. A gun modified this way can only fire beanbags. A gunslinger can create 20 beanbag rounds in an hour with engineer's tools. Alright, cool. I think we saw earlier in combat. Let me actually check here. Because I think they specifically said that you get to decide attacking. Attack roll, hit target, do damage, defending, escape. I feel like at some point, NPC death. Okay, see, here we go. When an NPC is reduced to 0 HP, it is up to the GM's discretion whether that target is incapacitated or killed. However, players can state that they are attempting to incapacitate a target rather than kill them to influence the GM. Okay. So the book is saying that you as a player can say you're trying not to kill, you're trying to incapacitate, you're trying to go non-lethal. But by default, you don't get to decide that. The GM decides when an NPC is taken out via your weapons, whether that would have been deadly damage or not, rules as written. So therefore, this being an ability, this bean gun being an ability of making it so like, no, this is always, when using this bean gun, it is non-lethal and it has a specific effect, makes sense within the logic of the game. And I get it, because I mean, it's hard to make guns non-lethal, right? Like they're going to hurt people badly. That's what guns do. So it's hard to say I'm going to incapacitate. There's a reason why I don't think cops should have guns. I don't think cops should be allowed to kill people, and that's what guns do. But that's just me. Point is, I see how this fits into the game because of the rules as written. That said, I'm personally more of a fan of like, no, if a player wants to go non-lethal, fine, cool. You figure out a way. The last hit is done with the flat of your blade. The last shot is done on a knee. Whatever. It's a game. We're making shit up as we go along. Sure, I will let you have this be non-lethal, except in, I might like there might be specific cases where I would rule that, but I think my default call would be I'm gonna let the player decide. I can see how in some games that shouldn't be the case. Some games you actually want the risk to be there and for players to have to deal with those consequences and whatnot, or characters rather have to deal with the consequences. So yeah, it could be. This is a personal preference thing. But the point is that the fact that this is a modification, is a power, is something that you either have to pick for starting or that you would have to get when you level up and sort of spend a level up on, feels like almost like a waste. It feels like it should be something that is just default, right? It feels like something that this should just be, I should just get to tell you if I'm trying to do non-lethal, which you do get to tell me. I don't know. If I was running this game, I would probably tell a player, hey, don't bother with this one. If you wanna do non-lethal, you're a gunslinger, you can figure it out. Or otherwise make the bean gun do something additional, rather than not just that paralyzed. Maybe like, forget about HP is reduced by, like, turn the bean gun. Is there a... practically a cannon. Okay, I would turn the bean gun into maybe something closer to a taser, is I think the approach that I would take, so that it has a specific effect. It's like, no, if you hit with this and any damage gets through armor or whatever, then they are stunned for a round. They cannot act next round, or something along those lines, or they are frightened, or a status effect. That I think would work better. for this power up. I probably would house rule it that way. But again, that's just me. That's just me. Sorry, just checking something. There we go. Okay, cool. Scatter shot. So next one, the gun has been modified to shoot shells filled with small pellets. Now you see, by the way, why it took me like 3 hours to get through like 20 pages yesterday, and it's taken me almost 3 hours now. Are we going to get... I'm not ending today's stream until we get to... Jesus Christ. Oh my God, there's still so many character classes. Patchworks, I'm like halfway through the character classes and it's already 5, and I will be done by 6 at the latest. So let's see how far we get. Wow. Okay, I mean, the good thing is we're taking our time. I did these streams are titled Deep Dive. I do be diving deep, don't I? Like I said, you know, I'm gonna skip over a lot of the stuff later in the book. And yes, look, it's content. It's so much content. Doesn't everybody love some content? Daddy made you your favorite content. All right, so let's take a good look at Scattershot. The gun is modified to shoot shells filled with small pellets. Dope. A gunslinger can create 20 shells in an hour with engineer's tools. With Scattershot's gun, a gunslinger targets an opponent close or nearby. All right, cool. So it's a shorter range. It's a shotgun. So it's a Scattershot. Cool. So when targeting a close opponent, the gun does a normal damage for its quality. On an excessive success, the target is knocked down. So cool. Boom, boom. Excessive success is basically a nat 1 because you're rolling low in this game. When targeting a nearby opponent, so that's a little further than close, the gun damages the target and everyone close to them. So a spray shot, instead of doing its normal damage for its quality, it uses the damage listed here. Basic 2 damage, fine, 1d4, fancy 2d4, masterwork 2d6. Cool. All right, cool. That's an interesting modification. No problem with that one. Bayonet rifle only requires level 3, and the other one also requires a fancy rifle and level 3. These better be good if you're giving me level requirements and giving me so few options, because that means for the first 2 levels I really only get to choose from these 3. One of them is, in my opinion, not great. The other one is rifle only and really only useful outside of combat if you want to be sniper. So really the only one you're going to pick up is Scattershot for begin with, and then level 2 you're kind of forced between scope and beam gun. This one, it's a shame. I like gunslingers normally. I like Gunkata and Gunfu, and I like a lot of what I'm seeing here. But I feel like a ball was dropped. I feel like you could have done more. I mean, let's take a look at the bayonet and practically a cannon stuff, and then we'll deal with the labor thugs, who I'm looking forward to, but also kind of frightened of, because this is the other one that's like, you know, we're talking about like fungus barbarians and occultists who can speak with the dead and dudes in power armor, and then there's literally described as just thugs with lead pipes. I'm so worried about the labor thugs, and I might be right to be worried, because Gunslinger, I feel like this art should have gone over here, and there should have been more modifications. I like damage types or special things I can do, or like smoke pellets, or I don't know, give me more Batman gadgets for my Gunslinger. Anyway, bayonet, so only works with a rifle. And that's the other thing. The level 3, the 2 other stuff only works with rifles. So there's the only things, and the other things also. So the only things you can do with beanbags, with pistols, is make it a bean gun and make it a scatter shot, which means you're just making a sawed-off shotgun with a scatter shot and a sawed-off shotgun beanbag gun. Yeah, I feel that's a shame about the Gunslinger. I feel like this class really, a lot of the other classes are great and I love them. This one feels like, ironically enough, for a Gunslinger, misses the mark. I'm kind of disappointed in this. It feels a little too restrictive. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Bayonet. A rifle can be affixed with a knife protruding from under the barrel. Cool. Why does this require level 3? The rifle can be used to make a close attack using the attributes of the attached knife. A gunslinger's extra rifle butt attack can be made with a bayonet instead. So it doesn't even add you, it just replaces something. This modification can stack with modification. So, cool. You get to make a close attack with a knife, which you could already do if you have a knife. Except I guess you don't need to change weapons to do it. Why does this require level 3? And then practically you can. I'm upset now. I am upset about the Gunslingers. I am disappointed. Penumbra City, you have failed this Penumbra City. I am so disappointed with the Gunslinger. I'm sorry if this is somebody's baby when creating, but it feels so limited compared to the other ones. Oh, I'm so worried about labor thugs now. Well, let's see anyway. Practically cannon. Requires a fancy rifle and level 3. This gun has been modified to shoot very large caliber projectiles. This gun cannot fire regular ammunition. Cool. When being used against a vehicle or mechanical device, the gunslinger can make a knowledge check. On a successful hit or knowledge check, the hit vehicle can no longer move without being repaired despite its HP. If this gun is used against a human-sized or smaller creature, the round knocks down whoever it hits in addition to inflicting damage. Cool. Cool. The knockdown effect on a hit is nice. The fact that it's limited, you can now this no longer works with regular ammunition. It's good against vehicles. You still have to make a knowledge check, which you're probably going to be good at as a gunslinger. It's okay. High requirements. Like again, I feel like they could have done much better with the gunslinger. I'm legitimately disappointed. It's a shame because I was excited about the Gunslinger. It's not like I hate everything about it. I like their basic gunslinging abilities. I think I'm mostly disappointed. The moving in cover and everything else, and high mobility in the battlefield. I like that. My big disappointment is in the progression. I feel like they could have done a lot more. I feel like, I mean, if you don't want guns in your game, that's fine. I get that. Most games I've done and worked in don't have guns. Worked for rather, tried to work. I don't usually write games with guns. But if you're gonna have them, I don't know, man. I don't know. We've got power armor, man. Make the guns special. Nothing here is particularly special. The ex-soldier, ex-marine. Wait. They have, where is it? More is more. More is more. The ex-marine may repair any handgun, rifle, or bolt thrower, whether or not it is broken, by attaching additional barrels, overriding the steam pressure safety, or doing some other such modification. A weapon modified in this way provides an additional damage die, but upon any failed attack roll, it breaks irrecoverably. Modifying a weapon this way takes 2 weapons, destroying one in the process requires some... Look, this is cool. This is cool. This is the ex-marine. They are able to kit bash weapons together, and sure, they'll blow up after a few hits, but this is cool. Double damage, whatnot, crazy stuff. Why doesn't the Gunslinger have something like that? Why doesn't the Gunslinger have like crazy modifications for their guns? The closest thing is practically a cannon, and even then it's not that much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with the Gunslinger, which is a goddamn shame. Still high marks for the game overall. Please don't get me wrong. I probably would do a lot of homebrewing with the Gunslinger if I was going to run this game, and somebody wanted to play a Gunslinger, was interested in it but hadn't seen the class yet. I would probably sit down with that player and kind of guide them through it and see, like, hey, do you want to get imaginative with this? Do we want to maybe house rule a few things? Yeah, I think I would take that approach to it, because otherwise I would be, again, I'm usually trying to watch out for my players, right? So I would be sad if my Gunslinger player felt underpowered or limited compared to the crazy stuff that the other characters are pulling off, right? So that's kind of my worry there. And with that worry, we move on to Labor Thugs. So let me see how many more we have, because it's 511, and we have Labor Thugs, that's 1 character. We have Lordlings, that's 2. We have Occultist, which is 3. And Lordling is going to be really complicated. Occultists are going to be really complicated. Patchworkers, the doctors, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I think, Patchworkers, and then Rat King. So 5 whole characters, 3 of which are particularly complicated, and it took us, we've been streaming for nearly 3 hours now, 2 hours and 54 minutes, and we went through, let's see how many we went through today. Well, we started with the Clackers, so we started with the Clackers, so 1, Clackers, Corsorian Knights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you know what? Okay, I think we're gonna stop here actually, because I've been going for 3 hours now. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up for here. I think this is a good place to spot it. It's a shame that I'm ending on a bit of a low note because of my disappointment with the Gunslinger, and maybe I'll give it some thought overnight, and then tomorrow when I stream again, I'm going to I might have some thoughts on what I would do with the Gunslinger, and then we can take probably another 3 hours to get through the rest of the character classes. Jesus Christ. You know what? Fine. This is my brand. This is what I'm doing. Deep dives. We're taking our time, going through them, giving my opinions, and hopefully some people will want to watch. I thought I was going to get through the intro and the game setting and everything in plenty of time, and then even get through all the character classes, or at least most of them, yesterday. And we didn't even get to the character classes yesterday. And then today I thought, okay, I'll get through all the character classes. 3 hours, definitely, that's gonna end. We got through like half of them. So I mean, it's still fun. I'm really enjoying this overall. So far, Penumbra City, if it's a 5-star scale, I am giving it so far a like 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5, more or less. We'll see how that goes. If it's an out of 10, then it's hovering around a 7 for me right now. Not too shabby. But I guess I'll have to compare it with others. I'm still not sure. 7 out of... I haven't completely gotten my rating scale yet. But overall, I'm very positive on the game. I like a lot of the things that it's done. If you have a chance, again, to watch the video from yesterday, feel free to skip through or put it at 1.x speed or something. But I do kind of get into the social and coalition building, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's worth a listen, and if I get into it now, we'll be here for 3 hours. So with that in mind, thanks for hanging out. I will definitely be back tomorrow to do more of this. Hopefully get to the rest of the classes, and you know, just see what else we like. That should be fun.